Once upon a time, in a tranquil kingdom called Verdora, there was a small village nestled between rolling hills and a vast, enchanted forest. The forest was known for its ancient trees, the whispering willows, which were said to hold secrets and wisdom from ages long past. In the heart of Verdora lived a young girl named Elara. She was known for her compassion and bravery, always willing to help those in need. Despite her kind nature, Elara felt that her life was missing something. She longed for a grand adventure that would reveal her true purpose. One day, as Elara was walking near the edge of the whispering forest, she noticed that the willows were unusually silent. The once gentle rustle of their leaves had stopped, replaced by an eerie stillness. Concerned, Elara decided to investigate. She ventured into the forest, guided by the fading light of the setting sun. As she walked deeper into the forest, the trees grew denser and the shadows darker. The whispering willows seemed to grow more imposing, their gnarled branches twisting like dark fingers reaching out. Elara finally reached a clearing where an ancient willow stood, its trunk wide and majestic. At its base, she found an old, ornate door carved into the tree. With a deep breath, Elara pushed open the door and stepped into a hidden chamber within the willow. Inside, the air was cool and filled with a soft, golden glow. At the center of the chamber was a large, crystal orb that pulsed with a faint light. Beside it sat a wise old elf named the Lion, who had a long beard and twinkling eyes. "Greetings, Elara," the lion said, his voice like the soft rustle of leaves. "I am the lion, keeper of the whispering willows. For many years, our magic has been fading because a powerful enchantment has been placed upon the forest. Only someone with a pure heart and unwavering courage can break the spell." Elara listened intently as the lion explained that the enchantment was the work of a jealous sorceress who wanted to harness the willow's magic for herself. To break the spell, Elara had to find and retrieve 3 magical items hidden deep within the forest: the enchanted feather, the silver acorn, and the golden pendant. Determined to help, Elara set off on her quest, guided by Thalion's instructions. Her first destination was a misty glade where the enchanted feather was said to be hidden. As she arrived, she found herself facing a beautiful but challenging sight, a labyrinth of thorny vines and glowing fireflies. Navigating through the labyrinth required not just physical agility but also wisdom. Elara remembered Thalion's advice to trust her instincts and to listen to the whispers of the willows. By following the fireflies' gentle glow and listening to the whispers of the trees, she successfully reached the center of the labyrinth and found the enchanted feather resting on a stone pedestal. Elara continued her journey and soon arrived at a serene pond where the silver acorn was hidden. The pond was guarded by a graceful water nymph who would only grant access if Elara could solve a riddle. The nymph asked, "What has roots that nobody sees, is taller than trees, up it goes, and yet never grows?" Elara thought for a moment and answered, "A mountain." The nymph smiled and allowed Elara to retrieve the silver acorn from beneath the pond's surface. With 2 of the magical items secured, Elara set out to find the golden pendant. Her path led her to a moonlit meadow where the pendant was said to be hidden. As she wandered through the meadow, she encountered a band of mischievous sprites who tried to mislead her with illusions and tricks. Elara remained steadfast, focusing on her goal and using her knowledge from the forest to see through the illusions. Finally, she discovered the golden pendant hidden within a hollow tree trunk, its light glowing warmly. With all 3 magical items in hand, Elara returned to the ancient willow and presented them to the lion. The elf nodded with approval and placed the items around the crystal orb. As the items touched the orb, it began to glow brilliantly, and a wave of magic surged through the forest. The whispering willows stirred to life, their leaves rustling with renewed vigor. The enchantment was broken, and the forest's magic was restored. The once silent willows now whispered their thanks to Elara, their voices carrying a melody of gratitude and joy. Elara returned to her village as a hero, celebrated for her bravery and kindness. The whispering willows continued to share their wisdom and magic with those who sought it, and the forest thrived with new vitality. Elara's adventure became a beloved story in Verdora, a reminder that courage and a kind heart could overcome even the darkest enchantments. She had found not only her grand adventure but also her true purpose in bringing light and hope to those in need. And so, Verdora flourished under the watchful gaze of the whispering willows, and Alara lived happily ever after, always ready for new adventures and discoveries. The Star Weaver's secret. In a small, quaint village nestled in a lush valley, there lived a humble woman named Leora. She was known for her exquisite weaving, crafting tapestries that seemed to come alive with every stitch. Leora's creations were not mere decorations, they told stories of dreams and magic, woven from threads of silver and gold. The villagers cherished Leora's work, but they also whispered about an old legend. According to the tale, Leora possessed a secret talent. She was said to be a star weaver, someone who could capture the light of the stars in her threads. This legend was dismissed by many as a mere myth, but it lingered in the hearts of those who longed for a touch of magic in their lives. The mysterious request. One evening, as the stars began to twinkle in the velvet sky, a stranger arrived in the village. He was a tall man with a cloak that shimmered like the night sky and a gentle, knowing smile. He introduced himself as Eric, a traveler from a distant land. Eric sought Leora's help. "I have heard of your incredible talent," he said. "I need a tapestry that holds the light of the rarest star, one that can bring hope and healing to my land, which is suffering from a terrible drought." Leora, intrigued and moved by Eric's story, agreed to help him. Eric handed her a small, ornate box. Inside was a single, radiant star crystal. "This crystal holds the essence of the rarest star," he explained. "It will guide you in your weaving." The enchanted weaving Leora worked tirelessly day and night, using the star crystal to illuminate her loom. As she wove, the thread sparkled with an ethereal light, and the tapestry began to take shape. It depicted a magnificent celestial landscape with stars, moons, and mythical creatures dancing across the fabric. Unbeknownst to Leora, the tapestry was imbued with magic. The star crystal was not only guiding her but also infusing her work with a powerful enchantment. As the final stitch was made, the tapestry shone with a light so pure and brilliant that it seemed to hold the very essence of the night sky. The journey to Eric's land. With the tapestry completed, Leora and Eric set out on a journey to his homeland, a distant kingdom suffering from endless drought. The land was parched, and the people's spirits were as dry as the cracked earth beneath their feet. When they arrived, Eric presented the tapestry to the kingdom's rulers and laid it out in the central square. The villagers gathered around, their eyes widening in awe at the tapestry's beauty. As the sun set, the tapestry began to glow softly, reflecting the light of the stars above. The miracle. As the tapestry shimmered in the moonlight, something incredible happened. The tapestry's light began to spread across the kingdom. The barren fields started to green, and the once dry wells began to fill with fresh, sparkling water. The land seemed to come alive with a newfound vitality, and the people rejoiced in their restored fortunes. Leora's heart swelled with joy at witnessing the transformation. She knew that the true magic lay not just in the tapestry but in the hope and unity it inspired. The parting gift. Before Leora left, the kingdom's rulers offered her a grand reward, but she humbly declined. Instead, she asked for a single star-shaped gem from their land, a token to remember the journey by. The rulers gladly granted her request, and Leora returned to her village with the precious gem. Leora's village was soon visited by travelers from afar, eager to see the weaver who had brought hope to a distant land. The tale of her bravery and kindness spread far and wide, and her tapestries were revered not only for their beauty but also for the magic they carried within. A lasting legacy. Leora continued to weave, her work now infused with the wisdom and magic she had gained from her journey. The star-shaped gem became a cherished keepsake, a reminder of the power of hope and the difference one person can make. The village flourished, and Leora's legend lived on, inspiring generations to believe in the magic of their own dreams and the possibility of creating light even in the darkest of times. And so, under the watchful gaze of the stars, Leora's story was woven into the fabric of time, a testament to the magic that lives in the heart of those who dare to dream. Once upon a time, in a land where twilight reigned and the sky was always a canvas of soft, shimmering colors, there was a peaceful kingdom named Luminera. The kingdom was known for its magnificent stars, which sparkled like diamonds in the night sky. Every evening, the people of Luminera would gather to marvel at the stars' beauty, for it was said that the stars were guided by a magical artifact called the Lantern of the Lost Stars. The lantern was a beautiful, ornate lamp that hung in the highest tower of the royal castle. It was said to be crafted by the ancient stargazers and had the power to keep the stars bright and clear. However, one day, the lantern's light began to fade, and the once brilliant stars dimmed to mere pinpricks of light. The kingdom's joy and prosperity seemed to diminish along with the stars, and the people grew increasingly worried. The wise King Orion, ruler of Luminera, knew that the only way to restore the star's brilliance was to find the lantern's missing star crystal. He declared that anyone who could bring back the crystal and restore the lantern's light would be honored beyond measure. Many tried, but none succeeded. In a humble cottage at the edge of the kingdom lived a young girl named Lyra. Lyra had a kind heart and a deep love for the stars. Hearing about the lantern's plight, she felt a calling to embark on a quest to find the missing star crystal and restore the light to her beloved kingdom. The first challenge, the Whispering Forest. Lyra's journey began in the Whispering Forest, a dense and magical woodland where the trees whispered ancient secrets and tales. As she ventured deeper into the forest, she encountered a wise old owl perched on a low branch, its eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. To pass through the Whispering Forest, the owl said, "You must solve this riddle. I have cities but no houses, mountains but no trees, and water but no fish. What am I?" Lyra thought carefully and answered, "A map." The owl's eyes sparkled with approval, and it hooted happily. "Follow the path illuminated by the moonlight, and it will lead you to the next challenge." The second challenge, the River of Reflections. Lyra followed the moonlit path to the River of Reflections, a serene river with crystal-clear waters that mirrored the sky and the surrounding trees. The river was guarded by a graceful swan with feathers that sparkled like stardust. To cross this river, the swan said, "You must answer this question: what can be cracked, made, told, and played?" Lyra pondered the question and replied, "A joke." The swan's feathers glowed warmly, and it created a bridge of light across the river. Lyra crossed the river, feeling more determined and hopeful. The third challenge, the Cave of Echoes. On the other side of the river, Lyra entered the Cave of Echoes, a grand cavern filled with glowing crystals that reflected light in mesmerizing patterns. At the center of the cave stood an ancient door adorned with celestial symbols. A gentle voice echoed through the cavern. "To unlock this door and find the star crystal, you must reveal your true heart. Share your deepest wish and prove that you seek it with pure intentions." Lyra took a deep breath and spoke from her heart, "My deepest wish is to restore the light of the Lantern of the Lost Stars, so that my kingdom can once again be filled with joy and wonder." The cave's walls shimmered with a soft, golden light, and the ancient door slowly creaked open, revealing the starred crystal in a radiant glow. The revelation, restoring the lantern. With the star crystal in hand, Lyra made her way back to the royal castle. She carefully placed the crystal into the Lantern of the Lost Stars, and as she did, the lantern burst forth with a brilliant, golden light. The stars in the sky shimmered brightly once more, casting their radiant glow over the kingdom of Luminera. The people of Luminera gathered in awe as the stars illuminated the night sky, their brilliance restored by the star crystal. The kingdom's joy and prosperity were rekindled. And King Orion praised Lyra for her bravery and selflessness. The tale of Lyra's quest became a cherished story in Luminera, a testament to the power of determination and the importance of a pure heart. Under the renewed light of the lantern, the kingdom thrived in harmony and wonder, forever grateful to the young girl who had restored their starry skies. Once upon a time, in the magical kingdom of Verdantia, nestled between verdant hills and sparkling lakes, there was a legend about a mystical creature known as the Rainbow Dragon. This dragon was said to possess scales of shimmering colors and could control the weather with a single breath. Its presence brought prosperity and happiness to the land, but it had not been seen for centuries. The people of Verdantia had lived in peace and abundance, thanks to the ancient blessing of the Rainbow Dragon. However, as time passed and the dragon disappeared, the kingdom began to experience harsh winters, scorching summers, and erratic weather patterns. the crops failed, and the rivers began to dry up. King Cedric, the wise and compassionate ruler of Verdantia, knew something had to be done. One day, he called upon the bravest and most adventurous souls in the kingdom. Among them was a young girl named Elara. She was not a knight or a sorcerer, but she had a heart full of courage and a deep love for her homeland. Elara had always been fascinated by the stories of the Rainbow Dragon and dreamed of one day seeing it with her own eyes. "Your Majesty," Elara said, bowing before King Cedric, "I will find the Rainbow Dragon and bring back its blessing to Verdantia." King Cedric looked at Elara with admiration. "You have a brave heart, Elara. Take this map. It will guide you to the Whispering Mountains, where it is said the Rainbow Dragon dwells. May the spirits of Verdantia protect you on your journey." With the map in hand and determination in her heart, Elara set off on her quest. She traveled through dense forests, crossed roaring rivers, and climbed steep hills, guided by the map and her unwavering resolve. Along the way, she befriended a small, clever fox named Lyric, who decided to accompany her on her journey. "Hello, Elara," Lyric said, his eyes twinkling with mischief. "I know these lands well and can help you find the Rainbow Dragon." Grateful for the company, Elara and Lyric continued their journey together. As they reached the edge of the Whispering Mountains, they encountered an ancient tree with a face carved into its bark. The tree was the guardian of the mountains and spoke in a deep, resonant voice. "Brave traveler," the guardian said, "to pass through these mountains, you must solve my riddle. I can fly without wings. I can cry without eyes. Whenever I go, darkness flies. What am I?" Elara thought for a moment and then replied, "A cloud." The guardian's branches rustled in approval, and it revealed a hidden path that led through the mountains. "Proceed with courage, Elara, and may your heart guide you." As they journeyed deeper into the mountains, Elara and Lyric came across a sparkling stream guarded by a graceful water nymph named Seraphina. The nymph's laughter was like music, and she greeted them with a smile. "To cross my stream," Seraphina said, "you must show your compassion. There is a wounded bird nearby that needs help. Tend to it, and I will grant you passage." Elara and Lyric found the injured bird and gently cared for it, using herbs and bandages. Once the bird was healed, it sang a beautiful song of gratitude and flew away. Seraphina, touched by their kindness, created a bridge of water lilies for them to cross. On the other side of the stream, they arrived at a cave that glowed with a soft, ethereal light. Inside, they found the Rainbow Dragon, resting peacefully. Its scales shimmered in every color imaginable, creating a mesmerizing display of light. The Rainbow Dragon opened its eyes and looked at Elara. "Brave girl, why have you come to my lair?" Elara stepped forward and spoke from her heart. "Great Rainbow Dragon, our kingdom is in dire need of your blessing. The weather has become erratic, and our people are suffering. I beg you to return to Verdantia and restore balance to our land." The Rainbow Dragon listened intently and then nodded. "I have been waiting for someone with a pure heart and selfless intentions to seek me out. I will return to Verdantia and bring back the prosperity it once knew." With a powerful beat of its wings, the Rainbow Dragon soared into the sky, its scales casting a brilliant light over the land. Elara and Lyric followed, watching in awe as the dragon's magic transformed the kingdom. The weather returned to normal, the rivers flowed with crystal clear water, and the fields bloomed with vibrant crops. King Cedric and the people of Verdantia rejoiced at the return of the Rainbow Dragon. The kingdom was restored to its former glory, and Elara was celebrated as a hero. The Rainbow Dragon made its home in the enchanted forest, watching over the land and ensuring that balance was maintained. From that day forward, Elara's bravery and kindness were remembered in songs and stories. The Rainbow Dragon's presence brought peace and prosperity to Verdantia, and its legend lived on, inspiring generations to come. And so, the kingdom of Verdantia thrived under the watchful eye of the Rainbow Dragon, a symbol of hope, courage, and the enduring power of a pure heart. In the heart of a lush, mystical forest lay the hidden kingdom of Eldoria. The kingdom was renowned for its beauty and harmony, where shimmering rivers meandered through fields of blooming flowers and the air was always filled with the scent of blossoms. The centerpiece of Eldoria's magic was the silver bell, a delicate, enchanted bell that hung from the tallest tree in the royal garden. The bell was said to have the power to bring peace and joy to all who heard its chime. The ruler of Eldoria was King Cedric, a wise and just leader who loved his people dearly. The king's daughter, Princess Eliana, was a gentle and adventurous soul, known for her compassion and bravery. She often wandered the kingdom, helping the villagers and learning about the world beyond the forest's edge. One fateful morning, as Princess Eliana walked through the royal gardens, she noticed something unusual. The silver bell, which had always shone brightly, was now tarnished and silent. Concerned, she rushed to her father's chambers. "Father, something is wrong with the silver bell," Eliana said, her voice trembling. "It no longer shines, and its chime is silent. The kingdom's joy seems to be fading." King Cedric's face grew grave. "The silver bell's magic is linked to the heart of Eldoria. If it loses its light and sound, it could mean that an ancient curse is awakening. We must find the source of this darkness and restore the bell's magic." Determined to save her kingdom, Princess Eliana set out on a quest to uncover the cause of the curse. Guided by a map from an old tome in the castle library, she ventured into the forest, seeking the ancient knowledge of the wise oak, a mystical tree rumored to hold secrets of great power. The path to the wise oak was filled with trials. Eliana first encountered the whispering willow, a tree that spoke in riddles. The willow posed a challenge to Eliana. "To proceed, you must answer this. What can be broken without ever being held?" Eliana pondered the riddle and replied, "A promise." The whispering willow's branches swayed in approval, revealing the path to the next trial. As Eliana continued her journey, she reached the shimmering falls, where she had to cross a bridge made of light. A mischievous sprite, guarding the bridge, demanded she solve another riddle to pass. "What has many keys but can't open locks?" Eliana answered, "A piano," and the sprite allowed her to cross. Finally, she arrived at the wise oak, its enormous branches reaching towards the sky. The wise oak spoke in a deep, resonant voice. "To restore the silver bell, you must find the Heart of Shadows, a relic hidden in the Caves of Echoes. The Heart of Shadows holds the power to break the curse that has befallen your kingdom." Eliana thanked the wise oak and made her way to the Caves of Echoes. The caves were dark and filled with eerie sounds that seemed to come from everywhere at once. Eliana navigated through the twisting tunnels until she found a chamber at the heart of the cave. In the center of the chamber was a pedestal with a dark, pulsating gem, the Heart of Shadows. As Eliana reached for the Heart of Shadows, a shadowy figure emerged from the darkness. It was the enchanted wraith, a guardian of the relic. "Only those with a pure heart can claim the Heart of Shadows," the wraith said. "You must prove your worth." The wraith created a series of illusions designed to test Eliana's courage and resolve. The illusions showed her visions of her deepest fears and doubts. Eliana faced each illusion with bravery, her love for her kingdom and her belief in its light guiding her through the trials. Seeing her determination and purity, the enchanted wraith allowed her to take the Heart of Shadows. As Eliana left the cave, she felt a surge of warmth and light emanating from the gem. She hurried back to Eldoria, where the kingdom awaited her return. At the royal garden, Eliana approached the tarnished silver bell and carefully placed the Heart of Shadows at its base. A brilliant light erupted from the bell, and its soft, melodious chime filled the air. The bell's light grew brighter and brighter, casting a golden glow over the entire kingdom. The curse was broken, and the joy and harmony of Eldoria were restored. The villagers celebrated with music and feasting, and King Cedric embraced his daughter with pride. The tale of Princess Eliana's bravery and the restoration of the silver bell became a beloved story in Eldoria. The silver bell continued to shine brightly, its chime a reminder of the courage and love that saved the kingdom. The kingdom flourished, and the enchanted forest thrived, a place where light and magic would always prevail. Once upon a time, in a kingdom known as Eldoria, there was a small village called Bramblewood. This village was nestled by the edge of a vast, enchanted forest and bordered a serene, shimmering lake known as Silver Lake. The villagers lived in harmony with nature, fishing in the lake and gathering herbs from the forest. However, one fateful year, a terrible drought struck Eldoria, drying up Silver Lake and withering the crops. The village fell into despair, unsure of how they would survive. In this village lived a young girl named Arya, who was known for her love of adventure and her compassionate heart. Arya couldn't bear to see her friends and family suffer, and she decided to seek out a solution. She remembered her grandmother's stories about the phoenix feather, a magical feather from a legendary phoenix that had the power to bring rain and restore life to the land. Determined to find the phoenix feather, Arya set off on a journey into the enchanted forest. She knew it would be a perilous quest, filled with unknown dangers, but her resolve was unwavering. As she ventured deeper into the forest, the trees grew taller and the light dimmer. Strange, magical creatures watched her from the shadows, but Arya pressed on. After several days of traveling, Arya came upon an old, twisted tree with a door carved into its trunk. Curious, she knocked, and the door creaked open to reveal a small, cozy room. Inside sat an elderly woman with kind eyes and a warm smile. "Welcome, dear child," the woman said. "I am Elowen, the guardian of the forest. What brings you to my humble abode?" Arya explained her quest for the phoenix feather, and Elowen listened intently. "The phoenix resides in the crystal caves, deep within the heart of the forest," Elowen said. "But the path is fraught with challenges. You must prove your worth and your intentions." Elowen gave Arya a small, silver lantern and a map. "This lantern will guide you through the darkness, and the map will show you the way. But remember, only a pure heart can summon the phoenix." With gratitude, Arya thanked Elowen and continued her journey. The forest grew denser, and the air became thick with enchantment. Following the map, she navigated through treacherous terrain and crossed enchanted rivers. Along the way, she encountered a mischievous sprite named Nixie, who tried to lead her astray. But Arya's kindness and determination won Nixie over, and he decided to help her instead. Together, they reached the entrance of the crystal caves. The cave sparkled with a myriad of colors, and the air was filled with an otherworldly hum. As they ventured deeper, they came to a vast chamber where the legendary phoenix rested on a pedestal of crystal. The phoenix was a magnificent bird with feathers of vibrant red and gold, and eyes that shone like the sun. As Arya approached, the phoenix regarded her with curiosity and wisdom. "Why do you seek my feather, young one?" the phoenix asked, its voice resonating like a melodious psalm. Arya explained the plight of her village and the drought that had stricken their land. She spoke of her love for her home and her desire to save her people. The phoenix listened, its gaze never leaving her face. "You have shown great courage and compassion," the phoenix said. "I will grant you my feather, but remember, its power must be used with a pure heart and good intentions." With that, the phoenix plucked a single feather from its radiant plumage and handed it to Arya. The feather glowed with a magical light, and Arya felt a warmth spread through her as she held it. Thanking the phoenix, Arya and Nixie made their way back to Bramblewood. When they arrived, the villagers were overjoyed to see Arya safe and sound. She went to the center of the village, holding the phoenix feather high. With a heart full of hope and love, she spoke the words of the ancient incantation Elowen had taught her. The feather shimmered and burst into flames, but instead of burning, the flames turned into clouds. These clouds rose into the sky, darkening and swelling until they covered the entire village. Moments later, rain began to fall, gentle at first, then stronger, until Silver Lake was filled once more, and the fields were drenched and revived. The villagers danced and celebrated in the rain, their spirits lifted and their hope restored. Arya's bravery and selflessness had saved them, and they hailed her as a hero. The phoenix feather's magic had not only brought back the rain but also taught the villagers the power of hope, courage, and the strength found in unity. Arya's legend spread far and wide, inspiring others to act with bravery and kindness. Silver Lake sparkled once more, and Bramblewood flourished, becoming a beacon of hope in Eldoria. And so, the village thrived, its people living in harmony with nature, always remembering the young girl who brought the rain and saved them all. The end. Once upon a time, in a village nestled between rolling hills and a whispering forest, there was an orchard like no other. The orchard was known far and wide as the Enchanted Orchard. It was said that the fruit from this orchard had magical properties, bringing happiness, wisdom, and even love to those who ate it. However, the orchard was protected by a mystical enchantment that made it impossible to enter without the guidance of the orchard's guardian, a wise old owl named Oliver. Oliver had feathers of silver and eyes that sparkled like stars. He had lived in the orchard for centuries, ensuring that the magic within remained safe and pure. The villagers admired Oliver and respected the magic of the orchard, so they never tried to enter without permission. One crisp autumn morning, a young girl named Eliza, who had recently moved to the village with her family, overheard tales of the Enchanted Orchard. Curious and brave, Eliza decided she wanted to see the orchard for herself. She ventured into the forest and, after much searching, found the entrance to the orchard. A grand, ancient gate covered in ivy stood before her, guarded by Oliver, who was perched solemnly on a branch above. "Hello, Oliver," Eliza called out, her voice full of wonder. "I've heard so much about the Enchanted Orchard. May I enter?" Oliver's eyes twinkled with both amusement and caution. "Entering the Enchanted Orchard is a privilege, young one. It requires a heart that is pure and intentions that are kind. Tell me, what is it you seek?" Eliza thought for a moment. She had heard the orchard could grant wishes, but her wish was not for herself. "I wish to find something to help my mother. She's been feeling sad since we moved here. If I could find something magical, maybe it would cheer her up." Oliver's gaze softened. "A noble wish indeed. Follow me." Oliver led Eliza through the gate and into the orchard. It was a place of wonder, trees with shimmering golden apples, bushes heavy with silver berries, and flowers that glowed softly in the twilight. The air was filled with a sweet, enchanting fragrance. As they walked, Eliza noticed a particularly ancient tree at the center of the orchard. Its bark was a deep, rich brown, and its leaves sparkled as if dusted with stardust. Oliver hovered near the tree and said, "This is the Heart Tree. It holds the most powerful magic of the orchard. If you are to find something to help your mother, you must ask the Heart Tree." Eliza approached the tree and gently touched its trunk. She closed her eyes and whispered, "Please, Heart Tree, help me find something to make my mother happy." The heart tree's leaves rustled softly, and a single, radiant fruit fell from its branches. It was unlike anything Eliza had ever seen, an apple with a brilliant, iridescent glow. Oliver guided her back to the gate with the enchanted apple. "Give this to your mother with all your heart," Oliver instructed. "Its magic is not in the apple itself, but in the love and intention behind it." Eliza thanked Oliver and hurried home. When she presented the glowing apple to her mother, she was astonished. "Where did you find this?" her mother asked, her eyes wide with wonder. Eliza explained the magical orchard and how she wished to make her mother happy. Her mother's heart warmed at the thoughtfulness of her daughter. She took a small bite of the enchanted apple and felt a surge of joy and comfort she hadn't felt in a long time. The magic of the apple did not only lift her spirits but also brought her a newfound appreciation for the beauty around her. The family soon became beloved members of the village, and Eliza's mother found happiness in her new surroundings. From that day on, Eliza and her mother often visited the Enchanted Orchard, where they would sit beneath the Heart Tree, feeling grateful for the magic that had touched their lives. Oliver the owl remained the steadfast guardian of the orchard, knowing that the true magic lay in the kindness and love that brought people to the gates of his enchanted realm. And so, in the village near the Whispering Forest, the Enchanted Orchard continued to thrive, its magic weaving through the lives of those who approached it with pure hearts and noble wishes. The end. The Whispering Willow. Once upon a time, in a charming village nestled by the edge of a vast, enchanted forest, stood an ancient willow tree known as the Whispering Willow. The villagers believed that the tree could communicate with the spirits of nature and grant wisdom to those who sought its counsel. The tree was adorned with sparkling flowers that glowed softly in the moonlight, and its branches swayed even when there was no wind, as if whispering secrets to those who listened closely. In this village lived a kind-hearted young girl named Ilara. Ilara had a special bond with the forest. She often wandered its paths, talking to the animals and caring for the plants. One day, a mysterious fog rolled into the village, casting an eerie silence over the land. The fog brought with it an unsettling chill, and the villagers soon discovered that their crops were withering and their animals were falling ill. The call for help desperate to save her village, Ilara decided to visit the Whispering Willow, hoping it could provide a solution to the village's troubles. Guided by the dim light of the glowing flowers, Ilara made her way to the tree. The ancient willow's branches seemed to reach out to her as she approached. As she stood before the tree, Ilara spoke softly, "Great Whispering Willow, my village is suffering. Please, tell me how I can help." The tree's leaves rustled, and a gentle voice, like a soothing breeze, answered, "To restore the balance, you must embark on a journey to find the Heartstone, a magical gem that lies hidden within the forest. Only the Heartstone can lift the fog and heal the land." The enchanted quest the Whispering Willow gave Ilara a shimmering pendant, saying, "This pendant will guide you to the Heartstone. But beware, the forest is filled with challenges that will test your courage and heart." With the pendant clutched tightly, Ilara set off into the forest. The pendant glowed softly, casting a warm light as she ventured deeper. The forest was filled with enchanting sights, glowing mushrooms, talking animals, and streams that sang sweet melodies. Yet, the fog loomed, making everything seem distant and shadowy. Her first challenge was a maze of tangled vines. The vines twisted and shifted, trying to confuse her. Remembering the Whispering Willow's advice to trust her heart, Ilara focused on the pendant's light. It guided her through the maze, and she emerged into a clearing. The trials of the Heartstone in the clearing stood a majestic fox named Aurelius. Aurelius, with fur as silver as moonlight, guarded the entrance to the Heartstone's resting place. He spoke in riddles, testing Ilara's wisdom and patience. Ilara answered each riddle with sincerity and clarity, and Aurelius granted her passage. Next, Ilara reached a shimmering lake. At the center of the lake, on a small island, lay the Heartstone, glowing with a warm, golden light. To reach the island, she had to cross a bridge made of ethereal light. The bridge was delicate and wobbled with each step. As she crossed, the fog tried to push her off balance, but Ilara remained focused, guided by the pendant's steady glow. The Heartstone's power. When Ilara reached the Heartstone, she could feel its powerful energy. She carefully picked it up and felt a surge of warmth and light flow through her. With the Heartstone in hand, she made her way back through the forest, using the pendant to navigate. As Ilara emerged from the forest and approached her village, she held the Heartstone high. The gem's light pierced through the fog, dissipating it and restoring the vibrant colors of the land. The crops began to flourish, and the animals regained their strength. The villagers rejoiced and celebrated Ilara's bravery and determination. They gathered around the Whispering Willow to thank it for guiding Ilara on her quest. The tree's branches swayed with a gentle rustle, as if whispering its own gratitude. A lasting legacy. Ilara's adventure became a cherished story in the village. The Whispering Willow continued to stand as a symbol of wisdom and hope, and the Heartstone was placed in a special grove as a reminder of the courage and unity that saved the village. And so, the village thrived, and Ilara's name became synonymous with bravery and kindness. The enchanted forest remained a place of magic and wonder, forever blessed by the Heartstone and the Whispering Willow's gentle whispers. Once upon a time, in the quaint village of Bramblebrook, nestled between rolling hills and lush meadows, there was a small, charming tea shop run by a kind old woman named Mrs. Thistle. The tea shop was renowned for its delicious teas and the comforting atmosphere it provided. However, the true magic of the tea shop lay in an old, ornate teapot that Mrs. Thistle kept hidden away in a special cupboard. This teapot was no ordinary teapot. It was enchanted, and it had the power to grant a single wish to anyone who drank from it with a pure heart. The secret of the teapot was known only to Mrs. Thistle, and she used it sparingly, only when someone truly needed a wish. One crisp autumn day, a young boy named Oliver came into the tea shop. Oliver was a curious and kind-hearted lad, but his family had fallen on hard times. his father had fallen ill, and his mother was struggling to make ends meet. Despite their hardships, Oliver always wore a bright smile and tried to help his parents in any way he could. Mrs. Thistle noticed the worry in Oliver's eyes and the weariness in his mother's face. She knew it was time to reveal the magic of the teapot. After Oliver and his mother had enjoyed a warm cup of tea, Mrs. Thistle invited them to stay a little longer. "I have something special to show you," she said, leading them to the cupboard where the enchanted teapot was kept. She carefully took it out and placed it on the table. "This teapot," Mrs. Thistle explained, "has the power to grant a single wish to those with a pure heart. You may use it to ask for anything that can help you and your family." Oliver's eyes widened with amazement. He had heard stories of magical things, but he had never imagined he would encounter such a wonder. He took the teapot and, with a hopeful heart, made his wish: "I wish for my father to get better and for our family to be happy again." Mrs. Thistle smiled warmly and told Oliver to pour a cup of tea from the teapot and drink it. Oliver did as instructed, and as he took the first sip, he felt a warm, comforting sensation spread through him. The teapot began to glow softly, and a gentle breeze seemed to fill the room. That night, Oliver's father's condition began to improve. The next day, a local healer came to the house, and with his help, Oliver's father made a remarkable recovery. The family's fortunes also changed as unexpected help came their way, and they began to find joy and stability once more. Grateful for the magic that had transformed their lives, Oliver and his family returned to Mrs. Thistle's tea shop to thank her. They found her in the garden, tending to her plants. "Thank you, Mrs. Thistle," Oliver said, his eyes shining with gratitude. "The magic of the teapot brought my father back to us and made our family whole again." Mrs. Thistle nodded with a smile. "Remember, my dear, the true magic is in the kindness of your heart and the love you have for your family. The teapot merely helped reveal the goodness within you." From then on, Oliver and his family continued to visit the tea shop regularly, and their lives flourished with happiness and prosperity. The enchanted teapot remained in Mrs. Thistle's cupboard, ready to help those who needed it most, but its true magic lay in the love and kindness that it inspired in those who sought its aid. And so, the village of Bramblebrook thrived, filled with warmth and joy, all thanks to the kindness of a magical teapot and the loving heart of a young boy. The end. The tale of the Starlit Bridge. In a serene kingdom surrounded by rolling meadows and shimmering lakes, there was a quaint village known for its peace and prosperity. But there was one mystery that intrigued everyone: the Starlit Bridge, a majestic bridge that spanned the grand river dividing the kingdom. Legend had it that the bridge was built by a celestial being and had the power to grant a single wish to those who crossed it under the light of the full moon. The Starlit Bridge was always bathed in a soft, glowing light that made it look like it was made of stars. But no one had ever been able to make a wish come true, and over time, the bridge had become a symbol of hope rather than fulfillment. In this village lived a brave and kind-hearted young woman named Alara. She was known for her beautiful voice and her love for helping others. Despite the many hardships the villagers faced, Alara always maintained a hopeful spirit, believing that the magic of the Starlit Bridge could one day be real. One evening, as the full moon rose high in the sky, Alara decided it was time to see if the legend was true. She carefully prepared a small pouch with a token of each person in the village: a piece of thread from a grandmother's quilt, a button from a child's coat, a feather from a farmer's hat, each item representing the hopes and dreams of her fellow villagers. With the pouch in hand and a heart full of hope, Alara made her way to the Starlit Bridge. As she stepped onto the bridge, the soft, starry glow seemed to welcome her. She walked slowly, taking in the shimmering beauty of the bridge and the reflection of the moonlight on the river below. At the center of the bridge, Alara paused and took out the pouch. She closed her eyes and whispered her wish. "I wish for the well-being and happiness of my village. May their dreams come true and may they find the prosperity they deserve." As Alara finished her wish, the bridge's light grew brighter, and a gentle breeze carried the starry glow across the river. The water began to shimmer with a radiant light, and the stars in the sky seemed to dance in harmony with the moon's reflection. Suddenly, a figure appeared before her, a graceful being with shimmering wings and a gown made of stardust. It was the celestial guardian of the starlit bridge. The guardian smiled warmly at Alara. "Your wish has been heard, dear child," the guardian said with a voice as gentle as the night breeze. "You have given your heart selflessly for the sake of others. Because of your pure spirit, I will grant the wish you have made." The guardian reached out and touched the pouch of tokens. As she did, the items glowed with a magical light. The stars in the sky aligned to form a beautiful constellation that seemed to bless the village with a warm, golden light. "The magic of the starlit bridge is not just in the wishing but in the selflessness and love you have shown," the guardian continued. "Your village will soon find the happiness and prosperity they seek." With a wave of her hand, the celestial guardian faded into the night sky, leaving Alara with a heart full of joy and hope. As she walked back to the village, she saw the first signs of change. The fields were beginning to bloom with vibrant colors, the villagers were smiling and working together, and a sense of prosperity was in the air. Alara's wish had indeed come true. The village thrived, and the starlit bridge became a cherished symbol of the power of selflessness and hope. The villagers celebrated with a grand feast and a festival under the stars, honoring Alara's courage and the magic of the bridge. From that day on, the story of Alara and the starlit bridge was told and retold, reminding everyone that the true magic of the world lies in the kindness and love we share with others. And as the stars continued to shine brightly over the bridge, the village lived in harmony and happiness, forever touched by the enchanting tale of the starlit bridge. And they all lived happily ever after. I hope you enjoyed this fairy tale. Once upon a time, in a lush, green valley bordered by towering mountains, lay a village named Eldoria. Eldoria was known for its beautiful gardens and friendly inhabitants, but most of all, it was renowned for the legendary silver tree that stood in the heart of the village. The silver tree was said to be enchanted, its leaves shimmering like silver in the sunlight and its branches humming a soothing, magical song at dusk. The villagers believed that the silver tree had been planted by the ancient forest spirits and that its song brought peace and prosperity to Eldoria. Each year, during the Moon Festival, the villagers gathered around the tree to listen to its melodious tune and celebrate their good fortune. One day, as the Moon Festival approached, a dark cloud seemed to settle over the village. The silver tree's song had grown faint, and its once sparkling leaves had lost their luster. The villagers were deeply troubled, for they knew that if the tree's song faded completely, their prosperity and happiness would be at risk. Among the villagers was a young girl named Alara. She was known for her adventurous spirit and her love for the village's traditions. Determined to save the silver tree, Alara decided to embark on a quest to discover the source of the problem. Alara approached the village elder, a wise woman named Grandmother Leora. "Grandmother Leora, what can I do to restore the silver tree's song?" Alara asked. Grandmother Leora sighed. "The silver tree's song is tied to an ancient enchantment. It is said that the heart of the tree, a magical crystal known as the Moonstone, has been taken. To restore its song, you must journey to the Shadow Peaks and retrieve the Moonstone." With a resolute heart, Alara set off on her quest. The Shadow Peaks were a range of mountains known for their rugged terrain and mysterious legends. Armed with a map, a sturdy staff, and a small bag of provisions, Alara began her climb. As she ascended the mountains, she faced several challenges. The first was a deep chasm with no visible bridge. As she pondered her way across, she noticed a series of stepping stones made of shimmering stone appearing and disappearing across the chasm. Summoning her courage, Alara timed her jumps carefully and made her way across safely. Her next challenge was to navigate through the Whispering Caves, a labyrinthine network of tunnels filled with confusing echoes. In the cave, a mischievous voice spoke to her. "To find the right path, you must answer this: what has a heart that doesn't beat?" Alara thought deeply and then answered, "An artichoke." The voice chuckled and the path ahead cleared, leading Alara to a hidden chamber. There, she found a small, silver chest guarded by a gentle dragon with sparkling scales. "You seek the Moonstone," the dragon said with a warm voice. "It is in this chest, but to retrieve it, you must prove your bravery and kindness." The dragon set 3 tasks for Alara. 1. Find a healing herb. Elara ventured into the nearby forest and found a rare herb that could heal a wounded creature. She used it to mend the wing of a small, injured bird. 2. Solve the riddle of the stars. The dragon presented a constellation map with a riddle about the stars. Elara solved it by aligning the stars correctly, revealing the hidden path. 3. Show compassion. Elara encountered a band of lost mountain goats who needed help finding their way home. She guided them safely back to their herd. Having completed the tasks, the dragon opened the chest and handed Elara the moonstone. It glowed with a soft, silver light, pulsating with the same energy as the silver tree's lost psalm. With the moonstone in her possession, Elara made her way back to Eldoria. As she approached the village, she saw the silver tree's branches drooping and the leaves dull. She placed the moonstone at the base of the tree, and a brilliant light erupted, restoring the tree's shimmering leaves and filling the air with its melodious song. The village erupted in joyous celebration as the silver tree's song rang out stronger and more beautiful than ever before. The villagers praised Elara for her bravery and kindness, and the Moon Festival was celebrated with renewed fervor. Elara's adventure became a cherished story in Eldoria, a tale of courage and the power of a pure heart. The silver tree continued to thrive, its song a reminder of the harmony between the village and the magical forest that surrounded it. And so, the village of Eldoria lived in happiness and prosperity, forever enchanted by the song of the silver tree and the brave girl who restored its magic. Once upon a time, in the magical realm of Viridia, there was a quaint village named Inkwell, famous for its scholars and scribes. The village was nestled at the foot of the Misty Mountains, where legends spoke of hidden treasures and enchanted artifacts. Among the villagers was a young girl named Lyra, who dreamed of becoming the greatest storyteller in all of Viridia. Lyra lived with her father, a humble scribe who taught her to read and write. Despite their modest means, Lyra's father always encouraged her to follow her dreams. He often told her tales of the enchanted quill, a magical quill said to have the power to bring stories to life. According to legend, the quill was hidden in the heart of the Misty Mountains, guarded by ancient enchantments and mythical creatures. One crisp autumn morning, as Lyra was helping her father organize his manuscripts, a mysterious traveler arrived in Inkwell. He was an old man with a long, flowing beard and eyes that twinkled with wisdom. He introduced himself as Orion, a wandering sage, and spoke of a great prophecy. A young scribe with a heart full of stories will find the enchanted quill and use its magic to save Viridia. Lyra's heart raced with excitement. She knew that she was the one destined to find the quill. With her father's blessing and Orion's guidance, Lyra set out on her journey, determined to uncover the legendary artifact. As she entered the Misty Mountains, Lyra encountered her first challenge, a dense, enchanted forest that seemed to have no end. The trees whispered secrets, and the path ahead was shrouded in fog. Remembering her father's lessons, Lyra took out her journal and began to write a story about a brave girl who could see through the fog with the light of her heart. As she wrote, her words came to life, and the fog lifted, revealing a clear path. Lyra continued her journey until she reached a rushing river, its waters too wild to cross. On the riverbank sat a wise old tortoise named Terran, who greeted her with a knowing smile. "To cross the river, you must answer a riddle," he said. "What is always in front of you but cannot be seen?" Lyra thought for a moment, then replied, "The future." Terran nodded in approval and revealed a hidden bridge that allowed Lyra to cross the river safely. On the other side, Lyra found herself at the entrance of a dark, winding cave. The cave was said to be the home of Nox, a fearsome dragon who guarded the enchanted quill. Summoning all her courage, Lyra ventured into the cave, where she was met by Nox's fiery breath and piercing eyes. "Why do you seek the enchanted quill?" Nox demanded, his voice echoing through the cavern. Lyra stood tall and replied, "I seek the quill to bring my stories to life and to save Viridia from the darkness that threatens it. My heart is pure, and my intentions are true." Nox studied her for a moment before nodding. "You have the heart of a true storyteller," he said. "But to claim the quill, you must pass one final test. Write a story that will touch my heart and prove your worthiness." Lyra sat down and, with trembling hands, began to write. She wrote about a lonely dragon who longed for friendship and a brave girl who saw the goodness within him. As she wrote, her words shimmered with magic, and the story unfolded before Nox's eyes. Tears glistened in Nox's eyes as he read her tale. "You have touched my heart, Lyra," he said. "The enchanted quill is yours." Nox led her to a hidden chamber deep within the cave, where the enchanted quill rested on a pedestal of crystal. The quill was more beautiful than Lyra had ever imagined, its feathers glimmering with a magical light. She took the quill with reverence, feeling its power coursing through her. With the enchanted quill in hand, Lyra returned to Inkwell, where she was greeted with joy and celebration. Using the quill's magic, she wrote stories that brought hope and happiness to the people of Viridia. Her tales of bravery, kindness, and friendship came to life, transforming the kingdom and banishing the darkness that had threatened it. Lyra's father watched with pride as his daughter's dreams came true. And Orion, the wandering sage, smiled, knowing that the prophecy had been fulfilled. From that day on, Lyra was known as the greatest storyteller in all of Viridia. The enchanted quill remained a symbol of the magic that lies within every heart and the power of stories to change the world. And so, the kingdom of Viridia lived happily ever after, forever grateful to the young girl who used her words to weave a brighter future. The end. Once upon a time, in a land not so far away, there was a magical forest known for its whispering trees and shimmering lights. The enchanted forest was a place where dreams danced on moonbeams and every creature had a touch of magic in its heart. In the heart of this forest stood an ancient oak tree, revered by all as the Whispering Oak. It was said that this tree could speak to those who truly listened, sharing secrets and wisdom from ages past. Many people from distant lands would visit, hoping to hear its enchanting tales, but only a few ever did. One day, a young girl named Lila, with hair like spun gold and eyes full of curiosity, wandered into the forest. She had heard tales of the Whispering Oak from her grandmother and yearned to hear its stories herself. Lila's family had always lived on the edge of the enchanted forest, and though she played among the trees many times, she had never ventured deep enough to find the legendary oak. Lila set out early in the morning, carrying a small basket filled with honey cakes, her favorite treat. As she walked, the forest seemed to welcome her. The leaves rustled softly, and the air was filled with the gentle hum of magic. Birds with feathers of gold sang melodies that only added to the forest's allure. After several hours of walking, Lila came upon a clearing bathed in soft sunlight. At the center stood the Whispering Oak, its branches stretching high and wide, as if to embrace the sky. The tree was even more magnificent than she had imagined, with leaves that shimmered like emeralds and bark that seemed to glow with an inner light. Lila approached the tree, her heart pounding with excitement. She sat down at its base and placed her basket beside her. "Hello," she said softly, unsure if the tree could hear her. "I've come to listen to your stories." At first, there was silence. Lila waited, watching the light dance through the branches. Just as she was about to give up, a gentle voice, as soft as the breeze, spoke from the oak. "Welcome, dear child," it said. "Few have come with a heart as pure as yours. What tales would you hear?" Lila was taken aback but quickly regained her composure. "I would love to hear a story about bravery and kindness," she replied. The Whispering Oak rustled its leaves thoughtfully before beginning its tale. "Long ago, before the forest was as we see it now, there was a small village at the edge of a great mountain. The villagers lived in harmony, but their peace was shattered when a fearsome dragon, known as Draven, came down from the mountain and demanded tribute from the people." Lila listened intently as the tree continued. Draven was not just any dragon. He had scales as dark as night and eyes that could turn even the bravest heart to stone. The villagers were terrified, for no one could stand against him. But in their midst was a young woman named Elara. She was neither strong nor powerful, but she possessed a heart full of courage and kindness. One day, Elara decided to face Draven. She gathered her most precious belongings, a silver locket given by her mother and a bouquet of wildflowers, and set off for the dragon's lair. When she arrived, Draven loomed over her like a shadow. The villagers had thought she was foolish, but Alara knew that true bravery lay not in might but in the willingness to confront fear with compassion. The dragon, curious about her audacity, asked her why she had come. Alara held up the locket and said, "This locket is a symbol of my love for my family. I've come to ask you to leave my village in peace, not because we fear you, but because we wish to understand you. I bring these flowers as a token of our willingness to offer friendship." Draven was taken aback. No one had ever approached him with such a gesture. He took the flowers, his heart softened by Alara's bravery and kindness. Over time, the dragon became a protector of the village rather than a menace. Alara's act of courage transformed not only her own life but the fate of her entire village. The Whispering Oak story ended, and the clearing fell silent once more. Lila felt a warmth in her heart, touched by the tale of bravery and kindness. "Thank you," she said to the tree, "for sharing such a beautiful story." The Whispering Oak rustled its leaves gently. "Remember, dear child, true courage is not the absence of fear but the strength to face it with kindness." Lila smiled, feeling a newfound sense of courage and hope. As she made her way back home, she knew that the Whispering Oak's wisdom would guide her in her own life, just as it had guided many before her. And so, Lila returned to her village, carrying with her the magic of the enchanted forest and the lessons learned from the Whispering Oak. She knew that, with bravery and kindness in her heart, she too could change the world. And they all lived happily ever after. In a quaint village nestled between rolling hills and lush meadows, there stood an ancient well at the center of the town square. The well was no ordinary one, it was known as the Wishing Well. Legend had it that the well could grant a single wish to anyone who truly believed in its magic, but only if their heart was pure. The villagers often told stories of the well, passing down tales of those who had their wishes granted, of farmers who wished for bountiful harvests, of travelers who wished for safe journeys, and of lovers who wished for eternal happiness. But there was one rule that everyone knew: you could only wish for something selfless, something that would bring joy to others. In the village lived a girl named Lila. She was kind and thoughtful, always helping those in need. Lila lived with her grandmother, who had raised her after her parents passed away when she was very young. Her grandmother was the most important person in Lila's life, but as time went on, her grandmother grew older and weaker. Lila worried every day that she would lose her. One evening, as Lila was tending to her grandmother, the old woman held her hand and whispered, "Lila, my dear, there is something I want you to have." She handed Lila a small, silver coin. "This is for the Wishing Well. I kept it for years, waiting for the right moment, but I think you should have it now. Use it wisely, my sweet girl." Lila took the coin, feeling the weight of her grandmother's words. She had heard of the well's power, but she had never imagined she would be the one to make a wish. She knew exactly what she wanted: to wish for her grandmother's health to be restored. But she also knew the rule: the wish had to be selfless. That night, Lila lay awake, thinking about what to do. She loved her grandmother more than anything, but she didn't want to break the well's rule. As she thought about it, she remembered all the kindness her grandmother had shown to others over the years, how she had helped neighbors in need, cared for the sick, and shared her wisdom with everyone. Lila realized that the best way to honor her grandmother was to wish for something that would bring happiness to the whole village, just as her grandmother had always done. With that in mind, she knew what her wish would be. The next morning, Lila walked to the Wishing Well with the silver coin clutched tightly in her hand. The village was quiet, the sun just beginning to rise. As she approached the well, she felt a gentle breeze, as if the well was welcoming her. Lila took a deep breath and closed her eyes, thinking of all the people in the village, including her grandmother. She tossed the coin into the well and whispered, "I wish for a garden to grow in the heart of our village, a garden that will bring joy and nourishment to all who live here." The well was silent for a moment, and then Lila heard a soft, melodious sound, like the tinkling of bells. She opened her eyes and saw a faint glow emanating from the well. The light spread out, covering the ground around the well, and wherever it touched, flowers and plants began to grow. Within moments, the village square had transformed into a beautiful garden, filled with vibrant flowers, lush greenery, and fruit-bearing trees. The air was filled with the sweet scent of blossoms, and the sound of birds singing in the trees. The villagers soon awoke to find the garden, and they were amazed. They gathered in the square, marveling at the beauty that had appeared overnight. Lila's grandmother, feeling stronger than she had in years, joined them, her face lighting up with joy at the sight. Lila stood by the well, her heart swelling with happiness. She knew that her wish had been granted, not just for her grandmother, but for everyone. The garden became a place where the villagers would come together, sharing in its bounty and finding peace and joy in its beauty. As time passed, the garden grew even more magnificent, and the village prospered. Lila's grandmother regained her strength, and the villagers often spoke of the day the wishing well had granted Lila's wish. They never knew exactly what she had wished for, but they knew that it had been made with a heart full of love. Lila would often visit the well, sitting by its edge and watching the garden grow. She knew that the true magic of the well wasn't just in granting wishes, but in teaching everyone the power of selflessness and the joy that comes from giving to others. And so, the village thrived, with the wishing well and its magical garden at its heart, a symbol of the love and kindness that Lila had shown with her simple, yet powerful wish. The end. The Dragon and the Glass Mountain. Once upon a time, in a faraway kingdom surrounded by lush forests and rolling hills, there was a legendary mountain made entirely of glass. The Glass Mountain shimmered in the sunlight and glowed softly under the moonlight. It was a sight of awe and wonder, but it was also a place of great mystery, for at the very top lived a dragon named Ember. Ember was no ordinary dragon. His scales were not the dark, menacing kind seen in most tales, but instead gleamed like molten gold, reflecting the light in dazzling patterns. Ember had guarded the Glass Mountain for centuries, and it was said that he had been placed there by a powerful enchantress to protect a secret treasure hidden within the mountain's crystalline walls. The enchantment of the Glass Mountain. The people of the nearby village of Lemuria often gazed at the mountain from afar, dreaming of the treasures it held. Many brave souls had tried to climb the Glass Mountain to uncover its secrets, but the smooth, slippery surface made it impossible to scale, and Ember's watchful eyes saw all. In the heart of the village lived a young girl named Elara. Unlike the other villagers, Elara did not dream of riches or fame. She was curious and kind, and she loved stories of adventure and magic. Every evening, she would sit by the fire with her grandmother, who would tell her tales of the Glass Mountain and the dragon that guarded it. One day, as Elara wandered through the forest collecting herbs, she found herself standing at the base of the Glass Mountain. She marveled at its beauty, but as she looked up, she noticed something strange. The mountain seemed to shimmer differently than usual, as if it were calling out to her. A whisper from the mountain. As Elara stood there, she heard a soft, musical whisper carried on the wind. "Seek the heart, find the flame, within lies the key to end the dragon's reign." Startled, Elara looked around, but there was no one in sight. The whisper seemed to come from the mountain itself. Driven by her curiosity, she decided to return to the village and ask her grandmother about the strange message. That evening, Elara told her grandmother about the whisper she had heard. Her grandmother's eyes widened in surprise. "The heart of the mountain," she said slowly, "is said to be where the true treasure lies. But it's not gold or jewels. It's something far more powerful, something that could change the fate of the entire kingdom." Elara's curiosity only grew. "What could it be?" she asked. "The heart of the mountain is a magical gem called the Heartstone," her grandmother explained. "It's said to have the power to control the elements and bring peace to the land. But it has been hidden for centuries, and no one knows how to find it, except for the dragon, Ember." The journey begins. Elara knew what she had to do. Despite the dangers, she decided to seek the Heartstone and uncover the secret of the Glass Mountain. She packed a small bag with food, a lantern, and a tiny flute her grandmother had given her when she was a child. Early the next morning, Elara set out for the Glass Mountain. As she approached, she noticed that the mountain's surface seemed to ripple and shift, making it appear even more impossible to climb. But Elara remembered the whisper, "Seek the heart, find the flame." She realized that the path to the Heartstone might not be a physical climb, but a journey of the heart. She stood at the base of the mountain and began to play her flute. The sweet, lilting notes floated up towards the peak. As she played, the glassy surface of the mountain began to change. The smooth surface rippled like water, and a pathway of light appeared, spiraling up towards the summit. Elara's heart raced as she stepped onto the path. It was solid beneath her feet, yet it glowed with a warmth that felt alive. She followed the path upwards, the light guiding her way as it wound around the mountain. Meeting Ember as Elara neared the top, she saw a flash of golden light ahead. There, perched at the very peak of the mountain, was Ember. His eyes, like molten lava, watched her approach. But instead of attacking, the dragon simply stared at her, as if waiting. Elara swallowed her fear and stepped forward. "I've come to find the Heartstone," she said, her voice steady. "The mountain called to me." Ember's gaze softened, and to Elara's surprise, he spoke. "The Heartstone is the source of the mountain's magic, and of my own," the dragon rumbled. "For centuries, I have guarded it, bound by the enchantress's spell. But you are different from those who have come before. You did not seek gold or glory, but something deeper. The Heartstone has chosen you." Ember lowered his head, revealing a glowing crystal embedded in the mountain's peak, just beneath his massive claws. The Heartstone pulsed with a gentle, rhythmic light, like the beating of a heart. The true treasure. Elara stepped forward, her hand trembling as she reached out to touch the Heartstone. The moment her fingers brushed against it, a wave of warmth and light enveloped her. She felt the power of the mountain, the dragon, and the ancient magic all at once. The whispering voice returned, but this time it was clear and strong. "The heart of the mountain is not just a stone, it is the love, the courage, and the kindness within you. Use its power wisely, and the kingdom will thrive." As the light faded, Elara found herself standing at the base of the mountain once more. The Heartstone rested in her hand, glowing softly. The glass mountain had returned to its original form, and Ember was nowhere to be seen. Elara returned to the village, where she shared her story in the power of the Heartstone. The villagers were amazed and grateful, for with the Heartstone, Elara was able to bring prosperity and peace to Willowbrook. The once dormant fields bloomed, the rivers flowed with crystal clear water, and the village thrived like never before. As for Ember, the dragon was freed from his centuries-long guardianship and was last seen soaring across the skies, his golden scales glinting in the sunlight. And so, the glass mountain remained, still shimmering in the light, a testament to the power of the heart and the courage of a young girl named Elara. In a quaint village called Meadowbrook, nestled between rolling hills and lush forests, lived a young girl named Lila. Lila was known for her boundless curiosity and her kind heart. She loved to explore the woods and fields surrounding her village, always hoping to uncover some new secret or hidden wonder. One crisp autumn evening, as Lila walked home from the forest, she noticed a peculiar glow coming from a nearby hill. Intrigued, she climbed the hill and discovered a small, ancient stone covered in intricate carvings. The stone seemed to shimmer with a faint, magical light. At its center was a deep blue gem, a starstone, as the village legends called it. According to the stories passed down through generations, the Starstone was a magical gem that had the power to grant one wish to a person with a pure heart. However, it had been lost for many years, and its magic was believed to be a mere fairy tale. Excited by her discovery, Lila gently touched the Starstone, and a soft voice whispered in her ear, "To awaken the magic, you must follow the path of courage, wisdom, and compassion." The quest begins. Determined to unlock the Starstone's magic, Lila set out on a quest. She took the gem to her grandmother, who was known for her knowledge of ancient legends. Her grandmother confirmed the tale and explained that the Starstone's magic could only be activated by completing 3 challenges, one of courage, one of wisdom, and one of compassion. Lila packed a small bag with essentials and set off into the forest, following the map of clues her grandmother had provided. The first challenge led her to the Caves of Echoes, a dark and winding labyrinth said to test one's courage. The challenge of courage. Inside the caves, Lila encountered eerie shadows and strange sounds that seemed to play tricks on her mind. The cave was filled with twisting passages and unexpected obstacles. As she ventured deeper, she found herself face to face with a giant spider, its eyes glowing menacingly. Despite her fear, Lila remembered the stories of bravery she had heard. Taking a deep breath, she stood her ground and spoke kindly to the spider, explaining that she meant no harm. To her surprise, the spider revealed itself to be a guardian of the cave and was testing her bravery. Pleased with her courage, the spider allowed her to pass and provided her with a shimmering crystal to help guide her on the rest of her journey. The challenge of wisdom. The next challenge took Lila to the Wise Owl's Grove, where an ancient owl named Olwen awaited her. Olwen was known for his riddles and wisdom. To pass this challenge, Lila had to solve a riddle that would reveal the way to the final challenge. Olwen asked, "I am not alive, but I grow. I don't have lungs, but I need air. I don't have a mouth, but water kills me. What am I?" Lila thought carefully and answered, "Fire." Olwen nodded approvingly and gave Lila a magical parchment that would show her the path to the final challenge. The parchment glowed with a soft light and guided her to the heart of the forest, where the final test awaited. The challenge of compassion. In the heart of the forest, Lila found a small, injured fawn. The fawn was trembling and in pain, unable to move. This challenge was to test her compassion. Lila gently tended to the fawn, using her first aid knowledge and the herbs she had gathered along the way. She spoke soothing words and made a cozy nest for the fawn to rest. As she cared for the fawn, a gentle breeze blew through the trees, and a soft light surrounded them. The fawn's injuries began to heal, and it stood up, its eyes filled with gratitude. The spirit of the forest, moved by Lila's compassion, revealed itself and granted her the final piece of the puzzle. The wish fulfilled. With all three challenges complete, Lila returned to the Starstone. As she placed the crystal, the parchment, and the light from her journey near the stone, it began to glow brightly. The magical energy of the Starstone enveloped her, and she felt a profound sense of peace and fulfillment. Lila made her wish, "I wish for my village to thrive and be filled with happiness and prosperity." The Starstone's light spread throughout the land, and the village of Meadowbrook began to flourish. The fields became abundant with crops, the river flowed with crystal clear water, and the village was filled with joy and laughter. The villagers marveled at the transformation and celebrated Lila's bravery, wisdom, and compassion. A lasting legacy. Lila's tale became a cherished story in Meadowbrook, inspiring generations to come. The Starstone was returned to its resting place, waiting for the next pure-hearted seeker. Lila continued to explore and help others, her actions always guided by the lessons she had learned on her quest. As the years passed, Meadowbrook thrived under the blessings of the Starstone. The village remained a place of happiness and harmony, and Lila's legacy lived on as a symbol of courage, wisdom, and compassion. And so, in the magical village of Meadowbrook, the Starstone's light continued to shine brightly, a testament to the power of a pure heart and the magic of a wish fulfilled. The end. In the heart of the lush green forest, where trees whispered ancient secrets and flowers sparkled like gemstones, there stood a quaint village called Willowbrook. The villagers lived in harmony with nature, and their lives were guided by a mysterious, magical mirror. This mirror, known as the Enchanted Mirror, was no ordinary looking glass. It was said to have been created by the ancient fairy Queen Lyra, and it possessed the power to reveal one's true self and grant wishes of the pure-hearted. For generations, the mirror had been the village's guardian, protecting it from harm and ensuring prosperity. One day, a curious girl named Alara, with hair as dark as midnight and eyes like the deep blue sea, stumbled upon the mirror while exploring the forest. She had heard tales of the mirror's magic but had never seen it with her own eyes. As she gazed into its shimmering surface, she saw a reflection not of herself but of a young prince trapped in a distant castle. The prince, who appeared to be in great distress, was trying to reach out from the mirror, his eyes pleading for help. Alara's heart ached for him, and without hesitation, she made a wish. "I wish to help the prince," she whispered, her voice full of determination. The enchanted mirror glowed brightly, and a swirling vortex of light enveloped Alara. When the light faded, she found herself standing in a grand hall of a magnificent castle, surrounded by towering walls and opulent tapestries. The prince, whose name was Prince Rowan, stood before her, looking both relieved and astonished. "Thank you for coming," Prince Rowan said with a bow. "I have been trapped in this mirror by an evil sorceress named Morgana. She cast a spell on me because she was envious of the mirror's magic and wanted to use it for her own dark purposes." Elara listened intently as Prince Rowan explained that Morgana had hidden the mirror in a secret chamber, and the only way to break the spell was to find it and destroy the sorceress's dark magic. Determined to help, Elara and Prince Rowan embarked on a quest through the castle's enchanted halls. Along the way, they encountered talking animals, mischievous fairies, and riddles that tested their wit and bravery. Each challenge they overcame brought them closer to the mirror and the sorceress. After many trials, they reached the secret chamber where Morgana had hidden the mirror. The chamber was filled with dark shadows and eerie silence. Morgana, a tall and fearsome figure with eyes like molten gold, stood in the center, her staff crackling with dark magic. "You think you can thwart my plans?" Morgana sneered as Elara and Prince Rowan entered. "This mirror will be mine, and I will use its power to rule all the lands." Elara and Prince Rowan faced Morgana with courage. Using the knowledge and skills they had gained during their journey, they battled the sorceress. Elara, guided by her pure heart and the magic of the mirror, found the strength to counter Morgana's dark spells. With Prince Rowan by her side, they managed to break the sorceress's staff, shattering the dark magic that had trapped the prince. As Morgana's power dissipated, she vanished into the shadows, never to be seen again. The enchanted mirror, now free from dark influence, glowed with a warm, welcoming light. It revealed to Elara and Prince Rowan the path back to Willowbrook. Before they left, Prince Rowan took Elara's hand and thanked her for her bravery and kindness. "You have not only saved me but also restored the mirror's magic. You are a true hero." With a final wave of the mirror's magic, Elara and Prince Rowan returned to Willowbrook. The villagers welcomed them with open arms, celebrating their victory in the restoration of the enchanted mirror's power. The mirror, once again a beacon of hope and magic, continued to guard the village and guide those with pure hearts. As for Elara, she became a cherished legend in Willowbrook, known for her bravery and selflessness. And whenever the villagers looked into the enchanted mirror, they were reminded of the girl who had ventured into the unknown, faced her fears, and saved not just a prince, but an entire kingdom. And so, the story of Elara and the enchanted mirror was passed down through generations, a timeless tale of courage, magic, and the power of a kind heart. Once upon a time, in a charming village surrounded by rolling hills and blooming meadows, there lived an elderly woman named Granny Rose. Granny Rose was known far and wide for her exquisite quilts, each one more beautiful than the last. Her quilts were not just pieces of fabric, they were woven with love, magic, and stories from the heart. One cold winter evening, as snowflakes danced in the moonlight, Granny Rose received a visitor at her cozy cottage. It was a young girl named Lila, who had heard tales of Granny Rose's magical quilts. Lila's village was suffering from a harsh winter, and her family was struggling to stay warm. "Granny Rose," Lila said with hope in her eyes, "I've heard that your quilts have a touch of magic. Can you help my village? We need warmth and hope." Granny Rose smiled warmly. "I will help you, dear. But first, you must embark on a quest to find the 4 pieces of fabric that hold the essence of the 4 seasons. Each piece has a special power, and together they will create a quilt that can bring warmth and magic." Lila eagerly accepted the challenge. Granny Rose handed her a small, enchanted pouch and said, "This pouch will guide you on your journey. Trust in its magic and follow your heart." With the pouch in hand, Lila set out on her quest. Her first destination was the Forest of Autumn. The trees were ablaze with orange, red, and gold leaves. As Lila walked through the forest, she came across a wise old fox named Oliver. "Hello, young traveler," Oliver said. "I can help you find the autumn fabric, but first, you must solve my riddle. What has keys but can't open locks, and is played with but never touched?" Lila thought carefully and answered, "A piano." Oliver nodded approvingly and led her to a glade where the autumn fabric was hidden beneath a blanket of fallen leaves. The fabric was rich with the colors of fall and shimmered with a warm, golden glow. Lila carefully placed it in her pouch and thanked Oliver before moving on to her next destination. The second piece was in the Winter's Peak, a snowy mountain covered in a thick layer of ice. As Lila climbed the mountain, she encountered a friendly snow hare named Elsa. "To find the winter fabric, you must complete a challenge," Elsa said. "Help me gather snowflakes to build a beautiful ice sculpture." Lila eagerly helped Elsa collect delicate snowflakes and shape them into a magnificent sculpture. Once they finished, Elsa revealed the winter fabric, which was as white and sparkling as freshly fallen snow. Lila placed the fabric in her pouch and continued her journey. The third piece was located in the spring meadow, a vibrant field of blooming flowers and singing birds. In the heart of the meadow, Lila met a cheerful butterfly named Bella. "Welcome to spring," Bella said. "To earn the spring fabric, you must help me pollinate the flowers and make the meadow bloom even brighter." Lila and Bella worked together, buzzing from flower to flower. As they finished, the meadow burst into an even more brilliant display of colors. Bella gifted Lila the spring fabric, adorned with the colors of blooming flowers and the scent of new beginnings. With the spring fabric safely in her pouch, Lila's final destination was the Summer Grove, a lush, sunlit forest filled with the warmth of summer. There, she encountered a wise old owl named Orion. "To find the summer fabric, you must share a story of kindness," Orion said. Lila thought of her family and village, and she shared a heartfelt story about how the villagers had once come together to help each other during a difficult time. Orion was moved by Lila's story and presented her with the summer fabric, which radiated with the bright, golden hues of summer. With all 4 pieces of fabric, Lila returned to Granny Rose's cottage. Granny Rose began to weave the fabrics together, creating a quilt that was not only beautiful but also infused with the magic of the seasons. Each stitch was filled with warmth and hope. When the quilt was complete, Granny Rose handed it to Lila. "This quilt will bring warmth and joy to your village," she said. "May it remind you of the magic that comes from love and kindness." Lila returned to her village and spread the quilt across the center of the village square. As the quilt touched the ground, it radiated a warm, comforting glow. The villagers gathered around, and they felt the cold winter's chill vanish, replaced by a cozy warmth and a renewed sense of hope. The village flourished with the magic of the quilt, and the story of Lila's quest and Granny Rose's enchantment became a cherished tale, reminding everyone of the power of love, kindness, and the magic that lies within. And they lived happily ever after. The end. Once upon a time, in a land where the mountains kissed the sky and the rivers sang with joy, there was a charming village named Brookhaven. Brookhaven was renowned for its lush landscapes and the enchanted garden that lay at its edge. This garden was special, blooming only under the light of the full moon. It was said that the garden held a powerful secret that could grant one wish to anyone with a pure heart. In Brookhaven lived a gentle and imaginative girl named Isla. Isla had always been fascinated by the midnight garden and its mysteries. Every month, on the night of the full moon, she would sneak out to the edge of the village to catch a glimpse of the garden's magical glow. One crisp autumn night, the full moon shone brighter than ever before, casting an otherworldly light over Brookhaven. Isla, unable to resist the allure of the garden, decided to venture inside. Armed with a lantern and her courage, she stepped through the ornate gate covered in vines that led into the garden. As Isla walked along the moonlit path, she marveled at the garden's beauty. The flowers glowed softly, and the trees seemed to whisper secrets of old. The air was filled with the fragrance of night-blooming jasmine and the gentle hum of fireflies. Just as she reached the center of the garden, a gentle voice spoke from the shadows. "Welcome, dear visitor," said the voice. It belonged to a graceful fairy with wings like spun silver. "I am Seraphina, the guardian of the Midnight Garden. What brings you here tonight?" Isla, though a bit startled, found her voice. "I've always heard of the garden's magical secret and came to see it for myself. I wish to understand its true power." Seraphina's eyes sparkled with a knowing light. the Midnight Garden can grant a single wish to those with a pure heart. But first, you must prove your worthiness by overcoming 3 trials that test your courage, wisdom, and kindness. The first trial appeared as a maze of thorns and brambles. Isla, determined to continue, navigated the maze with patience and careful steps. The thorns seemed to move and shift, but Isla remembered a lesson her grandmother had taught her about remaining calm in difficult situations. She followed the gentle glow of the moonlight and emerged from the maze. The second trial was a riddle posed by a wise old tortoise resting by a crystal-clear pond. To move forward, you must answer this, the tortoise said. I am taken from a mine, and shut up in a wooden case, from which I am never released, and yet I am used by almost every person. What am I? Isla thought deeply, remembering her grandfather's stories about clever solutions. A pencil, she finally answered. The tortoise nodded, and the pond's waters sparkled with approval, revealing a path to the next trial. The final trial was one of kindness. Isla encountered a small, injured bird with a broken wing lying beneath a tree. Its eyes were filled with distress. Without hesitation, Isla gently picked up the bird and used a bit of cloth from her lantern to create a makeshift bandage. She sang softly to comfort it, and the bird's fear slowly melted away. As Isla finished tending to the bird, it fluttered its wings gratefully and flew up to a branch, revealing a hidden door in the tree trunk. The door creaked open, leading to a chamber filled with shimmering light. In the center of the chamber stood a pedestal with a beautifully glowing gem, the heart of the Midnight Garden. Serafina appeared beside Isla, her expression filled with admiration. You have passed all 3 trials with grace and sincerity. The heart of the Midnight Garden is now yours to make a wish. Isla gazed at the gem and thought of her village, which had faced a long drought and struggled to grow crops. She wished with all her heart for the garden's magic to help restore their land and bring prosperity to her people. The heart of the Midnight Garden glowed brightly, and its magic spread across the land, bringing rain to the parched fields and revitalizing the crops. Brookhaven flourished, and the villagers rejoiced at the newfound abundance. When Isla returned to the garden to thank Serafina, she found that the fairy had left a single glowing flower as a token of gratitude. The Midnight Garden's magic continued to protect and nourish Brookhaven, and Isla's story became a cherished legend, a testament to the power of courage, wisdom, and kindness. And so, the village of Brookhaven thrived under the watchful glow of the Midnight Garden, living happily ever after. Once upon a time, in the kingdom of Serenia, there was a grand castle perched atop a hill. The castle overlooked rolling meadows and serene lakes, but its most cherished treasure was the Moonstone, a gem said to have the power to bring peace and prosperity. The Moonstone was guarded by a mysterious and benevolent figure known as the Guardian of the Moonstone. The Guardian was an enigmatic woman named Serafina who lived in a secluded tower within the castle. She had the gift of understanding the language of the stars and could communicate with the creatures of the night. Serafina's role was to protect the Moonstone and ensure that its power was used only for the greater good. One fateful evening, dark clouds gathered over Serenia, and a menacing sorcerer named Malachar appeared. Malachar coveted the Moonstone's power and sought to use it to spread darkness across the land. He devised a cunning plan to steal the Moonstone and cast a spell to shroud Serenia in eternal night. Serafina was aware of Malachar's intentions but was bound by the castle's protective enchantments, which prevented her from leaving. She knew she needed help, so she sent a magical message to the most courageous and kind-hearted soul she knew, a young shepherd named Elio. Elio lived in a small cottage at the edge of the kingdom. Though he was humble and lived a simple life, his bravery and kindness were well known. When he received Serafina's message, he felt a deep sense of duty and set out for the castle immediately. Elio arrived at the castle and was greeted by Serafina, who explained the situation and the danger that Malachar posed. She told him that to save the Moonstone and protect Serenia, he must retrieve a magical talisman hidden in the heart of the enchanted forest. This talisman was the only thing that could counteract Malachar's dark magic. The enchanted forest was known for its mystical creatures and magical trials. Serafina gave Elio a silver lantern that would guide him through the forest and reveal the path to the talisman. With the lantern in hand, Elio ventured into the forest, where he encountered a series of challenges. The first challenge was to cross the River of Reflections. The river's surface mirrored not just the physical appearance but also one's inner thoughts and fears. Elio saw his reflection clouded by self-doubt and fear. He took a deep breath and remembered his loved ones and his sense of purpose. By focusing on his courage and determination, he crossed the river without hesitation. Next, Elio reached the Whispering Grove, where the trees spoke in riddles. The trees told him that to find the talisman, he must solve a riddle. I am not alive, yet I grow. I don't have eyes, yet I need light. I am not a plant, yet I need water. What am I? Elio thought hard and answered, a crystal. The trees parted to reveal a hidden path leading deeper into the forest. At the end of the path was a majestic clearing where a silver chest rested upon a pedestal. Elio approached the chest, and as he did, a guardian spirit appeared, a magnificent stag with glowing antlers. The stag spoke with a voice like the rustling of leaves. To claim the talisman, you must prove your heart's true intent. Show that you seek to protect and serve, not to gain power. Elio stepped forward and spoke sincerely, I wish to protect my kingdom and ensure that the Moonstone's power is used for the good of all. The stag nodded in approval and allowed Elio to open the chest. Inside, he found the magical talisman, a shimmering orb that radiated warmth and light. Elio took the talisman and hurried back to the castle. Meanwhile, Malachar had managed to break through the castle's defenses and was closing in on the Moonstone. As he reached the chamber, the sky outside darkened, and a chill filled the air. Just as he was about to seize the Moonstone, Elio arrived with the talisman. Elio held up the talisman, and a brilliant light burst forth. The light enveloped Malachar and countered his dark magic, breaking his spell and dispelling the darkness. Malachar was forced to flee, his plans thwarted. With the danger averted, Serafina praised Elio for his bravery and selflessness. She explained that the Moonstone's power could now be restored, and peace would return to Serenia. The kingdom celebrated Elio as a hero, and the Moonstone was safeguarded once more. Serafina continued to guard the Moonstone with the wisdom and grace she had always shown, while Elio returned to his peaceful life as a shepherd. The tale of his courage and the adventure he undertook became a beloved story, inspiring many in Serenia. And so, the kingdom of Serenia flourished, protected by the moon. Once upon a time, in a serene valley bordered by rolling hills and lush forests, lay a charming village called Starhaven. Starhaven was renowned for its breathtaking moonlit meadow, a place where flowers glowed softly under the moonlight, creating a magical and enchanting scene each night. In this village lived a young girl named Ilara. Ilara was known for her kindness and her love for the moonlit meadow. Every evening, she would visit the meadow to help the glowing flowers bloom and to listen to the stories whispered by the gentle breeze. Her greatest wish was to protect the meadow's magic and ensure it remained a place of wonder and peace. One day, as the full moon approached, a mysterious fog began to creep into the valley. The once vibrant flowers in the moonlit meadow began to wilt, and the magical glow that had always been so bright started to fade. Ilara was deeply worried. She knew something was wrong. Determined to save the moonlit meadow, Ilara set off on a quest to find the source of the fog. She packed a small bag with essentials, including a lantern, a map, and a few snacks, and set out into the foggy night. Her loyal dog, Max, followed closely by her side. As they ventured through the forest, the fog grew thicker, and the trees loomed ominously. Ilara and Max soon came across an old, twisted tree with a door carved into its trunk. The door was slightly ajar, and a soft light flickered from within. Curious and brave, Ilara pushed the door open and entered the hollow tree. Inside, she found a cozy room lit by lanterns and filled with magical trinkets. Sitting at a wooden table was a kindly old wizard named Alden, who was busy mixing potions. "Welcome, Ilara," Alden said with a warm smile. "I've been expecting you." Ilara was surprised. "You know my name?" Alden nodded. "Yes, the magic of the moonlit meadow has reached me. The fog that has covered your village is the work of a mischievous spirit who seeks to steal the meadow's magic for herself. Her name is Lysandra. Elara's heart sank. How can we stop her? Alden handed Elara a small, silver pendant. This pendant holds the power to reveal the true intentions of anyone who wears it. Use it to find Lysandra and convince her to restore the meadow's magic. Thanking Alden, Elara and Max left the tree and continued their journey. With the pendant in hand, they followed the trail of fog through the forest. After a while, they arrived at a hidden glade where Lysandra, a shadowy figure with twinkling eyes, was attempting to harness the meadow's magic. Lysandra was startled to see Elara and Max. "What are you doing here?" she demanded. Elara stepped forward, holding the pendant. "I'm here to ask you to return the magic of the moonlit meadow. It's a special place for everyone in our village, and it needs its light to stay alive." Lysandra hesitated, looking at the pendant. The magic within it revealed her true feelings. She was not truly wicked but rather lonely and seeking attention. "I didn't mean to harm anyone," Lysandra admitted. "I only wanted to share the magic with myself, feeling forgotten and unappreciated." Elara's heart softened. "You don't have to take the magic away. You can be a part of it and help us protect it." Touched by Elara's kindness, Lysandra agreed. Together, they worked to clear the fog and restore the meadow's glow. Lysandra used her magic to bring back the vibrant flowers and enhance the meadow's beauty. As the moonlight bathed the meadow once more, the flowers bloomed brightly, and the glow returned, more magnificent than ever. The villagers of Starhaven celebrated the restoration of their beloved meadow, and Lysandra was welcomed with open arms. From that day forward, Lysandra became a guardian of the moonlit meadow, working alongside Elara and the villagers to keep the magic alive. The meadow flourished, and the bond between the villagers and the spirit grew strong. Elara's bravery and compassion had not only saved the moonlit meadow but also brought a new friend into their lives. And so, Starhaven continued to shine under the light of the full moon, a place of wonder, unity, and enduring magic. And they all lived happily ever after. I hope you enjoyed this fairy tale. Once upon a time, in a quaint village called Willowbrook, there was a hidden valley known for its magical flowers. These flowers, called Lumina Blooms, glowed with a soft light and were said to grant a single wish to anyone who found them. The valley was protected by an ancient guardian, a gentle giant named Bramble, who watched over the flowers with great care. In Willowbrook lived a young girl named Mira, who had a heart full of wonder and dreams. Mira had always been fascinated by the stories of the Lumina Blooms and often daydreamed about discovering them. Her best friend was a sprightly squirrel named Nutmeg, who loved to explore and had a keen sense of adventure. One morning, Mira and Nutmeg set out on a quest to find the Lumina Blooms. They packed a small basket with provisions and followed the winding path that led to the hidden valley. The path was lined with vibrant wildflowers and ancient oak trees, each whispering tales of old. As they approached the entrance to the valley, they encountered a large, ornate gate covered in ivy. The gate was guarded by a stone statue of Bramble, the giant. Beside the gate was an inscription that read, "To enter the valley and find the Lumina Blooms, you must pass 3 trials of heart and courage. Only those with true intentions may proceed." Mira and Nutmeg exchanged determined looks and stepped through the gate, entering the magical valley. The first trial awaited them, the trial of kindness. They found themselves in a meadow filled with magical creatures in distress. A family of fireflies had lost their way, and a nest of baby birds needed help. Mira and Nutmeg worked together to guide the fireflies back to their home and to care for the baby birds. Mira gently placed the birds back in their nest, and Nutmeg used his nimble paws to gather food for them. The creatures thanked them warmly, and the meadow seemed to sparkle with gratitude. Having successfully completed the first trial, they were guided further into the valley by a soft, golden light. The second trial was the trial of wisdom. They arrived at a serene pond surrounded by floating lily pads. In the center of the pond was a riddle-inscribed stone. "Speak the truth to find your way. What is the key to endless day?" Mira pondered the riddle, thinking about the stories she had heard. "The key to endless day is the sun," she finally answered. As soon as she spoke, The stone glowed warmly, and a pathway of glowing lily pads appeared, leading them to the next part of the valley. Their final challenge was the trial of bravery. They reached a clearing where a fierce storm was raging. The wind howled and lightning crackled. In the center of the storm stood a large, ancient tree that appeared to be in trouble. Bramble, the guardian giant, was struggling to hold the tree upright. Mira, though frightened by the storm, took a deep breath and, with Nutmeg by her side, approached the tree. She grabbed hold of its branches and used all her strength to help Bramble. Nutmeg scampered up the tree, offering support and encouragement. Together, they managed to steady the tree and protect it from the storm. As the storm subsided, Bramble, now free from his burden, stood tall and smiled warmly at Mira and Nutmeg. "You have shown great kindness, wisdom, and bravery. The Lumina blooms are yours to find." Bramble led them to a hidden grove where the Lumina blooms grew in abundance. The flowers glowed softly, casting a gentle light over the grove. Mira and Nutmeg marveled at their beauty and, as the legend promised, were granted a single wish. Mira wished for the happiness and prosperity of Willowbrook and its people. As they made their way back to the village, the Lumina Bloom's magic began to spread, bringing newfound joy and prosperity to Willowbrook. The villagers celebrated Mira and Nutmeg's bravery and kindness with a grand feast, and the valley became a place of wonder and delight for all. And so, the village of Willowbrook thrived under the magic of the Lumina Blooms, forever touched by the courage and kindness of a brave girl and her loyal squirrel friend. The end.
In the heart of the bustling kingdom of Oldoria, there lay a garden known for its breathtaking roses. Among these roses was one extraordinary bloom, the enchanted rose. It was said that this rose could grant a single wish to anyone pure of heart who found it. Princess Isabella, a kind-hearted and brave young woman, had heard tales of the enchanted rose from her grandmother. As the kingdom faced a time of great trouble, a terrible drought that had withered their lands, Isabella decided she would find the rose and make a wish to save her kingdom. One moonlit evening, when the stars twinkled brightly in the sky, Isabella set out on her quest. She carried a satchel with essentials, a map of the kingdom, a lantern, and a small book of fairy tales her grandmother had gifted her. Isabella's journey led her to the Whispering Woods, a mysterious forest known for its talking animals and magical creatures. The path was overgrown and shadowy, but the light of the full moon guided her way. As she walked, Isabella met a wise old fox named Fennec, who spoke in a voice like rustling leaves. "Greetings, Princess," Fennec said. "The enchanted rose is hidden deep within the forest, but reaching it will not be easy. You must seek the guidance of the woodland spirits." Fennec directed Isabella to a large oak tree with a hollow at its base. Inside, she found a small, glowing sprite named Leela, who fluttered her delicate wings. "Hello, Princess Isabella," Leela said. "To find the enchanted rose, you must pass 3 trials set by the forest spirits. These trials will test your heart and courage." Leela led Isabella to a clearing where a fierce storm had been conjured. The wind howled, and lightning flashed across the sky. In the center of the clearing was a magical artifact, the Storm Amulet, which Isabella needed to retrieve. Despite the fierce storm, Isabella pressed on. She shielded her eyes from the lightning and braved the winds. With determination, she reached the amulet and clutched it tightly. The storm subsided, and the clearing was calm once more. The second trial took Isabella to a tranquil pond surrounded by enchanted lily. On the pond's surface floated a riddle written on shimmering leaves. "I speak without a mouth and hear without ears. I have nobody, but I come alive with the wind. What am I?" Isabella pondered the riddle, drawing on the wisdom she had gained from her grandmother's fairy tales. After a moment, she answered, "An echo." The lily glowed brightly, and a path to the next trial appeared. The final trial led Isabella to a glen where a family of magical creatures, a deer, a fox, and a rabbit, were in distress. They were lost and frightened, needing help to find their way home. Isabella approached the creatures with kindness and empathy. She spoke soothingly, helped them navigate the forest, and guided them safely to their homes. The creatures thanked her with warm smiles, and the path to the enchanted rose was revealed. Isabella followed the path to a hidden garden bathed in moonlight. At its center stood a majestic rose, its petals glowing with a soft, ethereal light. The enchanted rose was more beautiful than she had imagined, radiating a magical aura. As Isabella approached, a gentle voice spoke from the rose itself. "Princess Isabella, you have proven your heart through courage, wisdom, and compassion. You may now make your wish." With a deep breath, Isabella wished for her kingdom to be restored, for the drought to end, and for the lands to be lush and green once more. The rose's light intensified, and a warm breeze swept through the garden. When Isabella returned to Eldoria, she found that her wish had come true. The drought had ended, and the kingdom's lands were now vibrant and flourishing. Rivers flowed with crystal-clear water, and fields were filled with blooming flowers and ripe crops. The people of Eldoria celebrated their princess's bravery and kindness. The kingdom thrived, and Isabella was hailed as a hero. The enchanted rose was placed in the royal garden, where it continued to bloom as a symbol of hope and the magic of true-hearted wishes. Years later, Princess Isabella's story became a beloved legend in Eldoria. The tale of her quest for the enchanted rose was told and retold, inspiring others to seek out their own courage, wisdom, and compassion. The enchanted rose remained a cherished part of the kingdom's history. Its magical glow served as a reminder that the power to change the world lies not in magic alone, but in the virtues of those who dare to believe in their dreams.
In a peaceful village surrounded by lush forests and sparkling streams, there was a quaint little shop known for its unique and magical items. The shop was run by an elderly woman named Granny Aloan, who was renowned for her knowledge of enchanted artifacts and her warm, caring nature. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the first stars began to twinkle, a young boy named Leo entered Granny Aloan's shop. Leo was a dreamer with a heart full of wonder and curiosity. He had heard tales of a mysterious lantern that could grant one wish to the person who found it. Granny Aloan greeted Leo with a kind smile. "Good evening, young Leo. What brings you here on this fine night?" Leo's eyes sparkled with excitement. "I've heard about the enchanted lantern that can grant a wish. I want to find it and see if the stories are true." Granny Aloan's eyes twinkled with a knowing glint. "Ah, the enchanted lantern. It is a very special item indeed. But finding it is not so simple. It requires a pure heart and a willingness to help others." Leo's heart swelled with determination. "I'm ready to do whatever it takes. I want to help my village and make it a better place." Granny Aloan nodded approvingly and handed Leo a small, leather-bound book. "This book contains clues that will guide you to the lantern. Remember, it is not the wish itself but the journey and the kindness you show along the way that truly matters." Leo took the book and set off into the forest. The moon was full, casting a silvery glow over the trees. As he walked, he read the first clue from the book: to find the lantern, follow the path of the moonlight and listen to the whispers of the night. Leo followed the moonlit path, and soon he heard a faint, melodic whisper. It led him to a clearing where a family of deer was struggling to find food. Their meadow had been overtaken by thick brambles. Without hesitation, Leo used his small pocket knife to carefully clear the brambles and make a safe path for the deer. The grateful animals nuzzled him before disappearing into the forest. As Leo returned to the path, he found the next clue in the book: the lantern lies where the stars kiss the earth. Leo continued his journey, guided by the shimmering starlight. He arrived at a serene pond, its surface reflecting the starry sky like a mirror. Next to the pond, Leo found an injured fox caught in a net. The fox's eyes were filled with pain and fear. Leo gently freed the fox from the net and tended to its wounds with some herbs he had in his satchel. The fox gave a soft, thankful yip before limping away into the forest. As Leo watched it disappear, he noticed a hidden compartment in a nearby tree. Inside, there was another clue: the final test is one of the heart. Seek where the light meets the dark. Leo followed the clue to a shadowy grove where the moonlight barely reached. There, in a small, hidden alcove, he found a beautiful, ornate lantern glowing softly with a warm, golden light. Leo picked up the lantern, feeling a sense of awe and accomplishment. As he held it, the lantern's light brightened, and a gentle, ethereal voice spoke, "You have shown great kindness and selflessness on your journey. The wish you seek will be granted, but remember, it is not for you alone." Leo thought of his village and how much they needed help. With a heartfelt wish, he said, "I wish for my village to be filled with happiness and prosperity, and for everyone to work together in harmony." The lantern's light expanded and enveloped Leo in a shimmering glow. He felt a warmth spread through him, and then, just as suddenly, the light vanished. Leo returned to his village with the lantern in hand. The next day, the village experienced a miraculous transformation. The crops grew abundantly, the streams were clear and full, and a sense of joy and cooperation filled the air. The villagers were amazed and grateful, and they celebrated together, rejoicing in their newfound prosperity. Leo's selfless wish had brought true magic to his village. Granny Aloan, watching from her shop, smiled with pride. The enchanted lantern had fulfilled its purpose, not just by granting a wish but by inspiring kindness and unity. And so, the village thrived, and the tale of Leo's journey and the enchanted lantern became a cherished story passed down through generations, reminding everyone of the power of selflessness and the magic that lies in a pure heart. The end. Once upon a time, in the serene kingdom of Elaria, there was a magical forest known as the Twilight Glade. This forest was famed for its stunning glow-in-the-dark flowers and the ancient moonstone, a powerful gem said to grant a single wish to those who proved their worth. The moonstone was hidden deep within the glade and could only be revealed during the night of luminous stars, when the sky was clear and filled with shimmering constellations. In the village of Sunhaven, just outside the forest, lived a compassionate and brave young woman named Mira. Mira was known for her kindness and her love for adventure. Her faithful companion was a wise and loyal tortoise named Bramble, who had a knack for solving puzzles and finding hidden paths. One evening, as the night of luminous stars approached, Mira and Bramble discovered an ancient, beautifully illustrated book in the village library. The book detailed the path to the Twilight Glade and the trials they would face to reach the moonstone. Excited and determined, Mira and Bramble set out on their journey as the stars began to twinkle in the night sky. The forest path was bathed in the soft light of the luminous stars, guiding them deeper into the Twilight Glade. The first challenge they encountered was the Glimmering Bridge, a magical bridge made of light that spanned across a sparkling river. The bridge was guarded by a playful spirit who spoke. "Only those with true bravery may cross this bridge. To prove your worth, you must answer this question: what grows when shared and fades when kept?" Mira thought carefully and then answered, "Happiness." The spirit nodded with a smile, and the glimmering bridge lit up brightly, allowing them to cross safely. On the other side of the river, they faced the maze of echoes, a labyrinth of shimmering walls that echoed with soft, melodic sounds. To navigate the maze, they needed to follow the echoes of a gentle, guiding melody. Bramble used his sharp ears to listen to the melodies, while Mira carefully followed the directions. They worked together to find the correct path, and after much effort, they emerged from the maze into a tranquil clearing. The final challenge was the Moonlit Grove, where the moonstone was hidden. The grove was filled with luminescent flowers and soft, ethereal light. At the center of the grove was a large, ancient tree with a riddle carved into its trunk. To find the moonstone, you must see with more than your eyes. What guides you through the dark and is found within your heart? Mira closed her eyes and thought deeply about the riddle. She realized that the answer was trust. She trusted in her journey, her friend, and her own heart. She spoke the word aloud, and the ancient tree's branches parted, revealing the moonstone nestled within its roots. The moonstone glowed with a soft, mesmerizing light, and Mira and Bramble approached it with awe. To make their wish, they needed to speak their heart's desire with sincerity. Mira wished for the well-being and happiness of her village and the entire kingdom of Elaria. "I wish for peace and prosperity for all who live in Elaria, so that everyone may experience joy and harmony." As Myra's wish was spoken, the moonstone's light spread throughout the twilight glade and beyond. The magic of the moonstone touched every corner of the kingdom, bringing a sense of tranquility and joy. When Myra and Bramble returned to Sunhaven, they found the village transformed. The fields were lush, the people were content, and the kingdom thrived with a newfound sense of harmony and happiness. The story of Myra and Bramble's adventure and the magic of the moonstone became a cherished tale in Elaria, reminding everyone of the power of trust, bravery, and selfless wishes. And so, the Twilight Glade continued to be a place of magic and wonder, where dreams and wishes were fulfilled under the light of the luminous stars. The end. The tale of the Whispering Willow. Once upon a time, in a small village nestled between rolling hills and dense forests, there was a legend about a magical tree known as the Whispering Willow. This tree was said to possess the power to grant the deepest desires of those pure of heart, but only if they could find it deep within the forest where it grew, hidden from all but the bravest souls. In this village lived a young girl named Lila. She was known for her kindness and her unshakable belief in the magic of the world. Lila lived with her grandmother, who often told her stories of the Whispering Willow and the many wonders that awaited those who could find it. One day, as Lila and her grandmother sat by the fire, her grandmother told her about the Whispering Willow's most precious gift, the ability to bring back lost loved ones, if the seeker's heart was pure and their intentions noble. "Grandmother," Lila asked softly, "do you think the Whispering Willow could bring back my parents?" Lila's parents had passed away when she was very young, and though she had grown up with love and care, she often dreamed of seeing them again. Her grandmother looked at her with gentle eyes. "The Whispering Willow can do many things, my dear. But it is not the power of the tree alone, it is the love in your heart that truly matters. If you believe strongly enough, and your wish is pure, perhaps the tree will answer you." That night, as Lila lay in bed, she made up her mind. She would find the Whispering Willow and ask for her parents to return. With her heart full of hope, she set out early the next morning, leaving a note for her grandmother so she wouldn't worry. Lila journeyed into the forest, following the stories her grandmother had told her. She walked for hours, the trees growing taller and the forest denser as she went deeper. The sunlight filtered through the leaves, casting dancing shadows on the ground, and the sounds of the village faded into the distance. As she ventured further, Lila began to hear a soft whispering carried on the wind. The whispers seemed to call her name, guiding her deeper into the forest. She followed the sound, her heart pounding with a mix of fear and excitement. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Lila came to a small clearing. In the center of the clearing stood the most magnificent tree she had ever seen. Its trunk was wide and ancient, with bark that shimmered in the light. Its branches stretched high into the sky, and its leaves, a deep, vibrant green, rustled softly, as if whispering secrets to the wind. Lila knew at once that she had found the Whispering Willow. She approached the tree cautiously, her heart full of hope. "Great Whispering Willow," she called out, her voice trembling slightly, "I have come to ask for a wish. Please, if it is within your power, bring back my parents. I miss them so much." The tree's leaves rustled more loudly, and the whispers grew stronger. Lila listened closely and realized that the whispers were forming words. "Lila, brave and kind," the tree whispered, its voice as soft as a breeze, "your heart is pure, and your wish is full of love. But be warned, young one, that the gift you seek comes with a price. Are you willing to give up something precious to you in exchange?" Lila hesitated. She had nothing of great value, only the love in her heart and the memories of her parents. But she knew that she would give anything to see them again. "Yes," she replied firmly. "I am willing." The Whispering Willow's branches swayed, and its leaves shimmered with a gentle light. "Very well, Lila. For your parents to return, you must give up your memories of them. You will no longer remember the time you spent together, but they will live again." Lila felt a pang in her heart. To forget her parents, even if it meant they would be alive again, was a difficult choice. She closed her eyes and thought of her grandmother's words. It was not the power of the tree alone, but the love in her heart that mattered. After a long moment, Lila opened her eyes. "I will do it," she said, her voice steady. "If it means they can live and be happy again, I will give up my memories." The whispering willow's leaves rustled once more, and a soft light enveloped Lila. She felt a warm, comforting sensation, as if a gentle hand were guiding her. The memories of her parents, their faces, their voices, the times they had shared, began to fade, replaced by a sense of peace. When the light faded, Lila found herself standing alone in the clearing. The whispering willow was still there, its leaves whispering softly, but something had changed. She no longer felt the ache of loss, only a gentle calm. Suddenly, she heard voices behind her. Turning around, Lila saw two figures approaching from the edge of the clearing, a man and a woman, both with kind eyes and warm smiles. Though she didn't recognize them, something deep inside her told her that these were the people she had wished for. "Lila," the woman said softly, her voice full of love. "It's time to go home." Without hesitation, Lila ran to them, feeling a sense of belonging she couldn't quite explain. As they walked back through the forest together, the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the trees. Though Lila's memories were gone, her heart was full, and she knew that she had made the right choice. When they reached the village, Lila's grandmother was waiting for them. Tears of joy filled her eyes as she embraced the two strangers, knowing that her granddaughter's wish had been granted. From that day on, Lila lived happily with her new family. The whispering willow continued to stand in the forest, waiting for the next pure-hearted soul to find it. And though Lila no longer remembered her parents, the love in her heart remained, a testament to the sacrifice she had made. And so, the village continued to thrive, with the legend of the whispering willow passed down through the generations, reminding all who heard it that true magic lies not in the granting of wishes, but in the love and selflessness that makes those wishes possible. And they all lived happily ever after. I hope you enjoyed this fairy tale. Once upon a time, in a quaint village nestled between rolling hills and the sparkling river, there was a magical garden known as the Moonlit Garden. This garden was said to be enchanted, blooming only under the light of the full moon. Its flowers were renowned for their vibrant colors and sweet fragrances, which brought peace and joy to anyone who visited. The caretaker of this magical place was a young woman named Alara. She had grown up in the village and had always been fascinated by the stories of the Moonlit Garden's wonders. Her grandmother had passed down the knowledge of the garden's secrets, and now Alara tended to it with love and dedication. One evening, as the full moon rose high in the sky, Alara noticed something unusual. Amidst the familiar glow of the garden's flowers, a single, unusual flower had appeared. It was a deep shade of blue, shimmering with an otherworldly light. Alara had never seen anything like it before. As she approached the mysterious flower, a soft voice echoed through the garden. "Thank you for finding me," it said. Alara looked around but saw no one. "Who's there?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. The voice continued, "I am Lysander, a guardian of the Moonlit Garden. I have been waiting for someone with a pure heart to help me break a spell that has bound me to this garden." Alara was astonished. "A spell? How can I help?" Lysander explained that long ago, he had been transformed into a flower by a wicked sorcerer who sought to control the garden's magic. The only way to break the spell was to gather 3 magical ingredients from the far corners of the land. 1. The golden feather from the peak of the Whispering Mountains. 2. The tear of a star from the depths of the Celestial Lake. 3. The heart of the evergreen tree from the heart of the ancient forest. Determined to help Lysander, Alara set off on her quest. She traveled first to the Whispering Mountains, where the winds carried whispers of ancient secrets. After a challenging climb, she found a golden feather nestled in a nest high atop the peak. The feather shimmered with a warm, golden light. Next, Alara journeyed to the Celestial Lake, a serene and magical place where the water sparkled like diamonds. She waited patiently as the stars reflected on the water's surface. Eventually, a single tear fell from the sky and landed in the lake, turning into a luminous, glowing tear. Her final destination was the ancient forest, where the evergreen tree stood tall and proud. Alara approached the tree with reverence and discovered a hidden chamber within its trunk. Inside was a radiant heart, pulsing with a gentle, green light. With the 3 magical ingredients in hand, Elara returned to the moonlit garden. Under the light of the full moon, she placed the golden feather, the tear of the star, and the heart of the evergreen tree around Lysander's flower. As she did so, the garden was filled with a brilliant light, and Lysander's form began to shimmer and transform. In a flash of light, Lysander appeared before her, no longer a flower but a tall, graceful figure with an aura of gentle light. He thanked Elara for her bravery and kindness. "You have broken the spell and restored the garden's magic," he said. Elara smiled, relieved and happy. "I'm glad I could help. The moonlit garden is truly a special place." Lysander nodded. "And now, you are its new guardian. The garden's magic will be safe with you." From that night on, Elara continued to care for the moonlit garden, ensuring its magic flourished under the light of the full moon. The garden remained a place of wonder and tranquility, cherished by all who visited. And so, the moonlit garden thrived, its blooms glowing brightly with the magic of friendship, bravery, and the gentle light of the moon. The end.
Once upon a time, in a cozy village nestled between rolling green hills, lived a young girl named Clara. Clara was known throughout the village for her vivid imagination and her love for stargazing. Every night, she would sit by her window, staring up at the sky, and dream of adventures among the stars. One crisp, clear night, as Clara gazed up at the twinkling sky, she noticed something extraordinary. A star, brighter than any she had ever seen, began to twinkle and then slowly descend from the heavens. It floated down, landing softly in her garden. Intrigued and excited, Clara rushed outside to see the star up close. In her garden, the star transformed into a beautiful, glowing figure. The figure had delicate, shimmering wings and a warm, gentle smile. "Hello, Clara," the figure said in a melodious voice. "I am Stella, a star fairy. I've come because I heard your wishes and dreams as you gazed at the night sky." Clara's eyes widened with wonder. "A star fairy? I've never heard of such a thing. What brings you here, Stella?" Stella smiled. "I've come to grant you one wish, Clara. Anything your heart desires." Clara thought for a moment, then replied, "I wish to bring happiness and prosperity to my village. The people here are kind and hardworking, but they've faced many hardships lately." Stella's eyes twinkled with delight. "A noble wish, indeed. Your kindness and selflessness will be rewarded. But remember, true happiness and prosperity come from within and from helping one another." With a wave of her wand, Stella cast a sparkling spell over the village. The once ordinary garden now shimmered with magical flowers that bloomed even in the darkest night, fruits that never spoiled, and herbs that could cure any ailment. As the days passed, the villagers began to notice the changes. The fields yielded abundant crops, the animals were healthy and thriving, and the people themselves seemed more joyful and full of energy. Clara's garden became a sanctuary where everyone gathered to share stories, laughter, and dreams. One day, a traveling merchant named Elias arrived in the village. He was amazed by the vibrant atmosphere and the happiness that radiated from everyone. He visited Clara's garden and was welcomed with open arms. Clara shared the story of Stella, the star fairy, and the wish she had made. Elias was deeply moved by Clara's story. "I have traveled far and wide, but I've never seen such a place of harmony and joy. You and your village have something truly special." Elias decided to stay in the village, and with his knowledge of trade and craftsmanship, he helped the villagers create beautiful goods to sell in neighboring towns. The village prospered even more, becoming known as a place of magic and happiness. Years passed, and Clara grew up, but she never lost her love for the stars. Every night, she would still gaze up at the sky, thanking Stella for the gift she had given. One evening, as she sat by her window, Stella appeared once again. "Clara," Stella said, "you have used your wish wisely and brought great joy to your village. But now it is time for you to embark on your own adventure." Stella handed Clara a small, glowing star. This star will guide you, wherever you wish to go. Follow it, and it will lead you to new dreams and new adventures. Clara hugged Stella, filled with gratitude. Thank you, Stella. I will cherish this gift and continue to spread happiness wherever I go. With the glowing star in hand, Clara set off on a journey beyond her village, exploring new lands, meeting new people, and sharing the magic of the star with everyone she encountered. Her adventures became legendary, and the tale of Clara and the star's gift was told in villages far and wide. And so, Clara's story lived on, a reminder that with a kind heart and a wish for the happiness of others, one could light up the world like the brightest star in the sky.
Once upon a time, in a kingdom nestled between misty mountains and sparkling rivers, there was a small village called Bramblewood. Bramblewood was known for its lush meadows and friendly people, but its most treasured possession was a legendary artifact, the Golden Compass. This magical compass was said to guide its bearer to their heart's true desire. For years, the Golden Compass had been kept in the village's ancient tower, guarded by a wise old keeper named Master Finn. The compass had always pointed true, guiding many villagers in their quests and adventures. But as time passed, its magic began to fade, and the compass's needle no longer moved with certainty. One day, a young and curious girl named Lyra arrived in Bramblewood. Lyra was known for her adventurous spirit and her love of stories. When she heard about the Golden Compass and its fading magic, she felt a strong urge to help. She believed that the compass's magic was tied to the dreams and wishes of the villagers, and she decided to seek out the source of the problem. Lyra approached Master Finn and asked, "How can I restore the magic of the Golden Compass?" Master Finn looked at her kindly. "The compass's power wanes because it has lost its connection to the dreams of those it has guided. To restore it, you must journey to the enchanted lake at the edge of the kingdom. There, you will find the Moonstone, which holds the key to renewing the compass's magic. But be wary, the journey is not without peril." Determined, Lyra set off on her quest. She traveled through dense forests and over rolling hills, guided by the last faint glimmer of the compass. Along her journey, she faced several challenges. First, Lyra encountered a deep chasm with no visible way across. As she pondered her predicament, she noticed a series of stepping stones appearing and disappearing in the chasm. By carefully timing her steps, she managed to cross safely. Next, she reached the Whispering Forest, where the trees seemed to whisper riddles and secrets. To navigate through the forest, Lyra had to solve a riddle posed by the trees. "I am taken from a mine, and shut up in a wooden case, from which I am never released, and yet I am used by almost every person. What am I?" Lyra thought hard and answered, "A pencil." The trees parted, revealing a path to the enchanted lake. As she arrived, she saw the Moonstone resting on a pedestal in the center of the lake. To reach it, she had to cross a series of floating lily pads. Each pad glowed softly, but some were unstable and would sink if she stepped on them. With careful balance and a steady heart, Lyra crossed the lily pads and reached the Moonstone. As she touched it, the stone began to glow brightly, and a shimmering bridge of light appeared, leading her back to the shore. Lyra returned to Bramblewood with the Moonstone, which she placed alongside the Golden Compass. As the Moonstone's light touched the compass, the needle began to spin with renewed energy, glowing with a warm, golden light. The compass's magic was restored, and it now pointed true with unwavering certainty. The villagers rejoiced, grateful to Lyra for her bravery and determination. They celebrated with a grand feast and honored Lyra with a special ceremony. Master Finn approached Lyra and said, "You have not only restored the compass's magic but also reminded us of the importance of dreams and hope. The Golden Compass will now guide future generations with its renewed power." As the festivities continued, Lyra felt a deep sense of fulfillment. She had not only achieved her goal but had also learned the value of perseverance and the power of following one's heart. With a heart full of joy, Lyra bid farewell to the villagers and continued her adventures, carrying with her the lessons she had learned and the memories of her quest. The Golden Compass remained a cherished symbol of hope and guidance in Bramblewood, its magic forever intertwined with the dreams and aspirations of those who sought its wisdom. And so, Bramblewood flourished, guided by the golden compass and the spirit of adventure that Lyra had rekindled. The village thrived under the watchful glow of the compass, its light a beacon of hope for all who ventured forth. Once upon a time, in the quaint village of Bramblewood, there was a tradition that everyone looked forward to, the Lantern Festival. Every year, the villagers would light beautiful lanterns and release them into the night sky, believing that the lanterns carried their hopes and dreams up to the stars. This year, however, was different. The festival was marred by an unsettling cloud of darkness. The village had been plagued by a persistent fog that seemed to swallow the light of the lanterns, and the villagers' dreams had turned to worry. They whispered of an old legend about a magical lantern that could chase away darkness and restore hope. The legend spoke of an enchanted lantern hidden deep within the Forest of Whispers. It was said that this lantern had the power to grant one wish to anyone who could find it. Young Mira, a kind-hearted girl who loved the Lantern Festival, decided she would seek out the enchanted lantern to bring back light and joy to her village. The Forest of Whispers. One crisp morning, Mira set off towards the Forest of Whispers. The forest was known for its magical properties and its ability to communicate with those who ventured within. As Mira entered the forest, the trees seemed to lean in closer, their leaves rustling with whispers of encouragement. She followed a winding path that glowed faintly with an otherworldly light. Along the way, she met various creatures of the forest, each with their own challenges. First, she encountered a clever fox named Felix, who was guarding a bridge. To cross this bridge, Felix said, "You must answer my riddle. What has keys but can't open locks?" Mira thought for a moment and answered, "A piano." Felix nodded and allowed her to cross. "Good luck on your quest." The magical stream Mira continued her journey until she reached a sparkling stream. The water was clear, but it shimmered with a magical glow. A graceful water nymph named Niamh appeared and told her, "To pass through, you must show your sincerity. Only the pure of heart may step onto the stepping stones without disturbing the water." Mira carefully stepped onto the stones, making sure to tread lightly and respectfully. The nymph smiled and allowed her to proceed. "You are close to finding the lantern. Trust in your heart." The wise old tree. After crossing the stream, Mira arrived at a clearing where an enormous, ancient tree stood. Its branches stretched high, and it seemed to have a face carved into its bark. This was the wise old tree, known for its knowledge of the forest's secrets. The wise old tree spoke in a deep, rumbling voice, "To find the enchanted lantern, you must offer something precious to you." Mira thought about the village and her family. She reached into her satchel and took out a small locket given to her by her grandmother, a cherished family heirloom. She gently placed the locket at the base of the tree. The tree's branches swayed as if in approval. "You have shown true selflessness. Follow the path of moonlight, and you will find what you seek." The lantern's light. Mira followed the path illuminated by a soft, silvery light. It led her to a hidden glade bathed in moonlight. In the center of the glade was an old, ornate lantern, glowing with a warm, inviting light. The enchanted lantern was even more beautiful than she had imagined, adorned with intricate patterns and shimmering with an inner glow. As Mira approached the lantern, it spoke, "I am the enchanted lantern. You have shown bravery, kindness, and selflessness. What is your wish?" Mira took a deep breath and wished, "I wish for my village to be free from darkness and for the Lantern Festival to bring joy and hope once more." The lantern's light grew brighter, and a gentle breeze carried Mira's wish back to her village. The fog that had blanketed Bramblewood began to lift, and the stars twinkled brightly above. Returned to Bramblewood with the lantern safely in her possession, Mira made her way back to Bramblewood. As she entered the village, the fog had completely vanished, and the villagers were filled with awe and joy at the sight of the clear night sky. Mira placed the enchanted lantern at the center of the village square, and its light spread out, filling the entire village with a warm, golden glow. The Lantern Festival resumed with renewed energy and happiness, and the villagers danced and celebrated under the stars. Mira's bravery and selflessness had restored the magic of the Lantern Festival. The village thrived with hope and joy, and the enchanted lantern became a cherished symbol of their resilience and unity. And so, the legend of the enchanted lantern lived on, reminding everyone that even in the darkest times, a kind heart and a brave spirit could bring light and hope. The end. Once upon a time, in the lush kingdom of Everwood, there was a serene village called Rivenshire, known for its shimmering silver willow tree that stood at the heart of the village square. This tree was said to possess magical properties, and its silver leaves glowed with a soft, comforting light each night. The villagers believed that as long as the tree flourished, their land would remain blessed with peace and prosperity. In Rivenshire lived a curious and kind-hearted girl named Arya. Arya was fascinated by the mysteries of the silver willow and often spent hours sitting beneath its branches, dreaming of grand adventures. One crisp autumn morning, Arya awoke to find that the tree's glow had dimmed, and its once vibrant leaves had turned dull and lifeless. The village was in turmoil, and the usually joyful atmosphere was clouded with worry. The village elder, a wise woman named Eloise, gathered the villagers and revealed an ancient prophecy: when the silver willow's light fades, it signals the need for a pure-hearted soul to embark on a quest to restore its magic. Only one with a true spirit can uncover the tree's hidden secret and save the land. Determined to help her village, Arya volunteered to undertake this quest. With her faithful companion, a clever raven named Corvus, she set off on a journey to discover the cause of the tree's malaise and to restore its magic. Arya and Corvus ventured into the Whispering Forest, where the trees seemed to murmur ancient secrets. Their first challenge was a deep chasm with no visible way across. As Arya contemplated how to cross, a shimmering figure appeared, a graceful fairy with delicate wings. "To cross this chasm, you must answer my riddle," the fairy said in a melodious voice. "I speak without a mouth and hear without ears. I have nobody, but I come alive with the wind. What am I?" Arya pondered and then answered, "An echo." The fairy smiled and waved her wand, creating a bridge of sparkling light that spanned the chasm. Arya and Corvus crossed safely and continued their journey deeper into the forest. Soon, they reached a dense thicket where the path was obscured by tangled vines. An old, wise tortoise emerged from the underbrush, watching them with kind eyes. "To pass through this thicket, you must demonstrate wisdom," the tortoise said. "What has a heart that doesn't beat?" Arya thought carefully and then replied, "An artichoke." The tortoise nodded in approval, and the vines parted, revealing a hidden path. As they followed the path, they arrived at a hidden glade where the silver willow stood, but its branches were entangled in dark, twisting vines. At the center of the glade was an ancient, gnarled tree with a dark aura. The tree was guarded by a menacing figure, a sorcerer named Malvern, who had cast a spell to drain the silver willow's magic for his own gain. "You cannot save the silver willow," Malvern sneered. "Its magic is mine now." Arya stood her ground, her heart pounding but her spirit unwavering. The silver willow's magic belongs to the land and its people. It should be used to bring light and joy, not for selfish desires. Malvern raised his staff, ready to strike, but Corvus swooped down and pecked at the sorcerer's hand, causing him to drop his staff. In the ensuing struggle, Arya found the source of the dark spell, a cursed crystal embedded in the ancient tree. With a burst of courage, she removed the crystal and shattered it with a powerful strike. As the cursed crystal broke, the dark vines receded, and the silver willow began to glow with a radiant light. The tree's branches unfurled, and its leaves shimmered with renewed brilliance. The magic of the willow spread throughout the glade, dispelling the darkness and restoring peace to the land. With the silver willow's light restored, Arya and Corvus returned to Rivenshire. The villagers greeted them with joy and celebration, grateful for their bravery and perseverance. The silver willow was once again the heart of the village, its glow a symbol of hope and harmony. Arya's name became a legend in Rivenshire, and her story was told for generations as a reminder of the power of courage, wisdom, and a pure heart. And so, the village of Rivenshire thrived, bathed in the soft, comforting light of the silver willow, living happily ever after.